the deep silence of space, punctuated by the terrifying symphony of creation. This is where our story begins, not with the gentle unfurling of life, but with a brutal, incandescent birth. Imagine a world not yet solid, but a churning, incandescent sea of molten rock. This was Earth, an infant planet still being forged in the cosmic furnace. The very ground beneath our feet, if it could be called ground then, was a flowing, incandescent mass. This not Earth that you know, not a place of gentle winds or flowing rivers, but a violent forge. The fundamental building blocks of our planet were still coalescing, drawn together by an irresistible gravitational dance. Picture this molten sphere, still cooling, still settling, a raw and untamed entity. But even in this maelstrom, the seeds of its future were being sown, laid down in layers of fire and fury. It was a time of pure potential, a canvas of liquid rock waiting to be imprinted by the cosmos. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. The early solar system was a cosmic demolition derby. Our nascent Earth was not a solitary wanderer, but a target in a relentless storm. Imagine being bombarded not by rain, but by colossal rocks, some as large as continents, hurtling through the void. These were planetesimals, the building blocks of planets, still in their chaotic formation. Each impact was an explosion of unimaginable scale, a cataclysm that reshaped the very surface of the young Earth. This ceaseless hail of debris wasn't just destructive, it was also a delivery system. These cosmic travelers, born in the outer reaches of the solar system, carried with them the precious cargo of water and other volatile compounds. They were the architects of our oceans, the bringers of the very ingredients that would eventually give rise to life. The seemingly destructive impacts were, in a profound and terrifying way, the foundational acts of creation, watering the barren cosmic landscape. But the most significant impact, the one that would forever alter Earth's fate, was yet to come. Imagine a world already seething and molten, then a collision of such magnitude that it beggars belief. A Mars-sized protoplanet, known as Theia, slammed into our infant Earth. The sheer force of this impact was enough to vaporize vast swathes of both celestial bodies, blasting molten rock and debris into orbit. This colossal impact, happening in the blink of an eye on cosmic timescales, was the violent birth of our moon. The ejected material, a fiery halo around the wounded Earth, gradually coalesced, drawn together by gravity. The moon, our constant companion, was born from this cataclysm. Its immediate presence began to exert a powerful influence, stabilizing Earth's tilt and creating the tides, a rhythmic pulse that would shape coastlines and perhaps even life itself. Its creation is a stark reminder of the violent, cosmic ballet that forged our world. As the dust settled from this gargantuan impact, and the relentless bombardment began to wane. A new phase began. The Earth, though still hot and volcanic, was slowly, imperceptibly, beginning to shed its primordial fury. The intense heat generated by the impacts and the planet's own formation allowed for the release of gases trapped within the molten interior. These gases, primarily water vapor, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, began to form Earth's very first atmosphere. And as this nascent atmosphere thickened, the surface began to cool further. The immense quantities of water delivered by those earlier cosmic collisions started to condense. Imagine skies heavy with steam, then the first raindrops falling onto a still molten surface, hissing and steaming as they hit. These were the primordial oceans, vast expanses of water, cradling the nascent world. Conditions were still incredibly harsh, but the foundational elements for life were beginning to align. The stage was being set for what would come next, a profound transformation that would forever change Earth's character. As we now begin to explore the great oxygenation event, the Hadean world was a crucible, a place of constant upheaval. But as the fires of its birth began to dim, a fundamental shift occurred. The surface, once a sea of magma, started to solidify. This was not a sudden transformation, but a gradual process, akin to skin forming over a wound. Tremendous heat still emanated from the planet's core, driving volcanic activity. But in pockets, the primordial rock cooled enough to persist. These first solid fragments of crust, thinner and more volatile than today's tectonic plates, began to coalesce. Imagine these early landmasses not as vast continents, but as small, scattered islands, much like volcanic archipelagos. They were born from volcanic eruptions, spewing molten rock that cooled rapidly in the shallow, steamy seas. These proto-continents were constantly recycled by the intense geological forces. Plates, if they could even be called that, were likely fragmented and unstable, leading to frequent collisions and submergences. Yet, within this chaotic dance of fire and water, the very foundations of land were being laid. These nascent landmasses were the first punctuation marks on a planetary canvas that had, until then, been overwhelmingly fluid. They offered surfaces, however temporary, above the restless oceans. But the true story of Earth's nascent crust lies not just in its formation, but in the silent evidence left behind. As these early continents began to form and drift, a new and extraordinary geological phenomenon began to manifest in the oceans. The story of these formations is written in stone, in layers of red and black, a testament to a process so slow, so subtle, it's almost imperceptible to our modern senses. These are the banded iron formations, and they hold a profound secret about the very air we breathe. These ancient rock layers, found in deposits dating back billions of years, are characterized by their alternating bands of iron-rich minerals, often hematite or magnetite, and silica-rich layers like chert. This distinctive banding tells us a story of chemical reactions, of iron dissolved in the primordial oceans and its subsequent oxidation. But where did this oxygen come from? In the Hadean, Earth's atmosphere was largely devoid of free oxygen. The iron abundant in the early oceans was in a reduced state, soluble and invisible. The appearance of these banded iron formations signals a profound change, a gradual infusion of oxygen into the marine environment. This wasn't the oxygen of our current atmosphere, a byproduct of complex plant life. This was something far more ancient, far more fundamental. It was the work of tiny, microscopic organisms that had found a way to harness the sun's energy. Their metabolic processes were slowly, painstakingly, releasing oxygen as a waste product. These earliest forms of life, microscopic prokaryotes, were performing a revolutionary act. They were the first to master photosynthesis, a process that would fundamentally re-engineer the planet's chemistry. Before photosynthesis, Earth's atmosphere was a reducing one, dominated by gases like methane and carbon dioxide. The oceans contained dissolved iron, a consequence of the planet's early volcanic outgassing and lack of free oxygen. Then life found a way. These early photosynthesizers, likely similar to modern cyanobacteria, took in carbon dioxide and water, using sunlight as their energy source. As a byproduct, they released oxygen. Initially, this oxygen didn't escape into the atmosphere. Instead, it reacted with the abundant, dissolved iron in the oceans. This reaction caused the iron to precipitate out of the water, forming insoluble iron oxides. These oxides settled to the ocean floor, accumulating layer by layer. The alternation of iron-rich bands and silica-rich layers reflects a cyclical process. Periods of increased photosynthetic activity and iron oxidation would lead to the deposition of iron minerals. These periods might have been followed by times of less sunlight or nutrient availability, causing a pause in this process, allowing for the deposition of fine silica particles from the water column. This slow, rhythmic deposition continued for hundreds of millions of years, creating the vast reserves of iron ore we mine today. These banded iron formations are more than just ancient rocks. They are a visible record of Earth's first great biological experiment. They are proof that life, even in its most rudimentary forms, has the power to sculpt entire worlds. They tell us that the oxygen we breathe today, the very basis of our complex existence, has a long and complex history, a history that began with the quiet, persistent work of microscopic life in the ancient seas. But this gradual oxygenation was not a sudden event, and the world of early life was far from the vibrant ecosystems we know. To truly understand this dawn, we must look at the architects of these formations, the microbial ecosystems that ruled the Archean. And to understand the world these early microbes inhabited, we must delve deeper into the earliest forms of life and the structures they built, which leads us to exploring the early microbial ecosystems. The world before the Proterozoic was a realm of shadows and chemical strangeness. Life existed, yes, but it was a fragile, anaerobic existence, clinging to the edges of a planet that had not yet learned to breathe. The banded iron formations whispered of a coming change, a silent precursor to a transformation so profound it would redefine the very nature of planetary existence. This was the time when the Earth truly began to exhale, and in doing so, unleashed a force both destructive and generative. The Great Oxidation Event, or GOE, was not a gentle sunrise. It was a violent, planet-altering catastrophe for the life that had so long dominated the Earth's primordial oceans and soils. For billions of years, life had thrived in the absence of free oxygen. Anaerobic bacteria, masters of their oxygen-starved domain, performed their metabolic dances using chemical pathways that were entirely incompatible with this new, potent gas. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the cyanobacteria, those ancient photosynthetic powerhouses, began to churn out oxygen as a waste product. This oxygen, however, did not immediately fill the atmosphere. It was a reactive gas, readily snatching electrons from whatever it encountered. The iron dissolved in the oceans was its first great victim. It rusted, precipitating out of the water and forming the banded iron formations we see today. For a long time, this iron acted as a natural sponge, soaking up the nascent oxygen. But eventually, the sponge was saturated. The oxygen started to accumulate in the atmosphere, a slow poison for the anaerobic world. Imagine the terror for those ancient microbes. Their world, once a sanctuary of chemical equilibrium, was becoming toxic. Their metabolic processes, once efficient and life-sustaining, were now a death sentence. Entire ecosystems collapsed. The Earth, in essence, was rusting itself, a slow-motion planetary fever that purged the old order. This was the first great extinction event, driven not by impact or volcanism, but by the very breath of life itself. Yet this seemed a cruel paradox, life's own byproduct becoming its greatest enemy. The sheer abundance of oxygen, once it began to truly accumulate, would irreversibly alter the planet's geochemistry. It changed the very color of the sky, the chemistry of the rocks, and most importantly, it created conditions that would eventually allow for entirely new forms of life to emerge from the ashes of the old. But how did this toxic gas, so deadly to the ancients, ultimately pave the way for the complex life we know today? The aftermath of the Great Oxidation Event left the Earth's atmosphere, and oceans dramatically changed. For the anaerobic organisms that survived, life became a desperate struggle for for oxygen-free refuges. But for the opportunistic few, the lingering oxygen also presented an opportunity. It was a rich energy source, a far more potent fuel for life's engines than the chemical reactions of the past. This potent energy source, however, was still dangerous. It could damage cellular structures, a constant threat that necessitated new defense mechanisms. It was within this environment of toxic threat and abundant energy that a truly revolutionary innovation took hold. The eukaryotic cell, unlike the simpler prokaryotic cells of bacteria and archaea, eukaryotes possess a nucleus that encloses their genetic material and specialized compartments called organelles that perform specific functions. This compartmentalization was a game changer. It provided a more stable internal environment, protecting the cell from the damaging effects of oxygen, while simultaneously allowing for more complex metabolic processes. The origin of eukaryotes is still one of science's most profound mysteries, a tale whispered in the language of genetics and ancient cellular structures. The leading theory, endosymbiosis, suggests that larger cells engulfed smaller prokaryotic cells. Instead of digesting them, a symbiotic relationship formed. The engulfed prokaryotes, adapted to processing oxygen, became mitochondria, the powerhouses of the eukaryotic cell. Similarly, in plant cells, another prokaryote was engulfed, eventually evolving into chloroplasts, the sites of photosynthesis. This was not mere evolution. It was a cosmic act of cellular incorporation, emerging of ancient lineages that forged the building blocks of all complex life. These newly formed eukaryotic cells were slower and larger than their prokaryotic ancestors, but they were also far more capable. They could perform more complex tasks, generate more energy, and crucially, they possessed the internal machinery to eventually become something far greater. This internal complexity, this sophisticated cellular architecture, was a necessary precursor to the explosion of diverse life that would one day inhabit our planet. But the planet itself was far from a stable cradle for these emerging complex cells. As life began to tinker with its environment, the Earth responded with a ferocity that threatened to erase everything. And to confront this primal fury, we must look to the unimaginable cold that gripped the planet. The emergence of eukaryotic cells marked a profound turning point, but the Earth's journey was far from smooth. In fact, the very changes wrought by life began to trigger a series of global climatic upheavals. As oxygen levels rose, they reacted with methane, a potent greenhouse gas that had kept the early Earth warm. This reaction diminished the atmospheric blanket, leading to a cooling trend, coupled with other geological and atmospheric shifts. This cooling plunged the planet into an extreme state of glaciation. These were the snowball Earth episodes, periods when ice sheets may have extended from pole to pole, covering the entire planet in a frozen shroud. Imagine oceans locked in ice, continents buried beneath kilometers of snow and ice, and a sun struggling to penetrate the frigid atmosphere. Life, which had just begun to gain a foothold with the advent of complex cells, was pushed to the absolute brink of extinction. Survival during these deep freezes was a testament to life's tenacity. Organisms retreated to the few remaining refuges, deep-sea hydrothermal vents where chemical energy still flowed, or perhaps thin patches of open water near volcanic hotspots. These extreme conditions acted as a brutal evolutionary crucible. Only the most resilient, the most adaptable could endure, and in a strange twist of fate, these cataclysmic glaciations may have also inadvertently paved the way for future evolutionary leaps. When the ice finally receded, likely due to massive volcanic outpourings that released greenhouse gases, it left behind a dramatically altered environment. The meltwaters brought fresh nutrients and minerals to the oceans, creating conditions ripe for life to rebound and diversify. The periods of extreme selection during Snowball Earth likely favored organisms with more robust physiologies and greater genetic flexibility. This intense pressure, paradoxically, may have spurred the development of new adaptations and genetic novelty, setting the stage for the rapid evolutionary radiation that would follow. It was a cycle of destruction and rebirth, a testament to the planet's extreme capacity for change and life's own equally extreme capacity to endure and adapt. But what specific forms did life take as it emerged from this icy crucible? After the punishing grip of the Snowball Earth episodes finally loosened its icy hold, the planet slowly began to warm. Life, battered but not broken, began to re-emerge from its refuges. The oceans, enriched by the meltwaters and the lingering chemical signatures of past geological upheavals, became a fertile ground for innovation. It was in this post-glacial dawn that the first clear evidence of complex multicellular life began to appear in the fossil record. These were the organisms of the Ediacaran biota, a collection of enigmatic, soft-bodied creatures that inhabited the Earth's oceans for tens of millions of years, from about 635 to 541 million years ago. Unlike the familiar forms of later life, Ediacaran organisms defy easy classification. They were often flat, frond-like, or quilted in appearance, lacking any obvious mouths, digestive systems, or skeletal structures of the kind we've come to associate with animals. Their modes of life are a profound puzzle. Some may have lain on the seafloor, absorbing dissolved nutrients directly from the water. Others might have been filter feeders, or even chemosynthetic, drawing energy from chemical reactions rather than sunlight. Their very presence challenges our assumptions about the origins of complex life. They represent a distinct evolutionary experiment, a branch of multicellularity that, for the most part, seems to have died out before the explosion of animal diversity in the Cambrian period. Were they primitive ancestors of modern animals, or a separate, failed attempt at complex life? Their soft bodies rarely left detailed impressions, making their study a painstaking process of interpreting ghostly imprints in ancient rock. The Ediacaran biota mark a crucial transition, a moment when life moved beyond the single-celled and simple colonial forms that had dominated for billions of years. They were the pioneers of multicellularity, demonstrating that cells could cooperate and differentiate to form larger, more complex organisms. They walked, or perhaps glided, across the silent seafloors of a world still recovering from unimaginable cold, a world where the breath of oxygen was still a relatively new and potent force. But their strange forms and their eventual disappearance leave us with a deep sense of mystery. What came next, as life began to truly find its footing and diversify, leads us to the dawn of the hard-shelled revolution. The silence of the Ediacaran seas, though teeming with strange, soft forms, was about to be shattered. A new era was dawning, one where life would not only diversify, but also begin to armor itself, leaving behind a far more robust record for us to decipher. This profound shift, this sudden surge of complexity, is known as the Cambrian explosion. It is a period where the fossil record seems to erupt, presenting us with an astonishing array of entirely new body plans and life forms. Consider the sheer abruptness of it. For billions of years, life had been predominantly microscopic, or built from simple, soft tissues that left fleeting traces. Then, over a comparatively brief span of geological time, perhaps only tens of millions of years, the world of life changed fundamentally. We see the sudden appearance of organisms with hard, mineralized shells, exoskeletons, and complex internal structures. These were not tentative steps. These were fully realized designs, many of them immediately recognizable as belonging to major groups of animals that still exist today. The seas of the Cambrian were, in many ways, a blank slate upon which evolution began to draw with unprecedented speed and creativity. Think of it like a grand cosmic experiment suddenly accelerating. The prior quietude of the Ediacaran biota, with their enigmatic fronds and quilted forms, now gave way to a bustling underwater metropolis. One moment, the oceans are filled with gentle, sessile, or slowly creeping organisms. The next, they are alive with creatures that possess eyes, segmented bodies, and the capacity for movement and interaction in ways that were simply not present before. This rapid emergence of complex, hard-shelled organisms with highly specialized body plans is a hallmark of this pivotal epoch. It is as if life, having discovered the principles of multicellularity, suddenly unlocked the blueprints for an entire kingdom of diversified beings. The creatures that define this era are as fascinating as they are alien, dominating the Cambrian seas were the trilobites, segmented arthropods that scuttled across the seafloor. Their segmented bodies and hard exoskeletons leaving an indelible mark on the fossil record. They came in a dazzling variety of shapes and sizes, some no larger than a grain of rice, others growing to impressive lengths. But the trilobites were far from the only stars. There was also Anomalocaris, a formidable predator that dwarfed many of its contemporaries. Imagine a creature with a segmented body, a series of grasping appendages near its mouth, and a ring of sharp teeth. It was an apex predator, a hunter that could and did prey upon the newly armored inhabitants of the Cambrian. The existence of such sophisticated predators implies a complex food web, a dynamic ecosystem where survival depended on more than just existing. This period also saw the first clear evidence of animals with heads, tails, and distinct sensory organs. The evolution of eyes, in particular, is a monumental leap, opening up a world of visual perception, of hunting and being hunted, the presence of predators and prey, of specialized mouths and digestive systems, of walking legs and swimming appendages. All of these fundamental animal traits appear or become widespread during the Cambrian. It's a breathtaking display of biological innovation, a sudden efflorescence of form where previously there was relative simplicity. The question that echoes through these fossil beds is an urgent one. What could have triggered such a dramatic and rapid burst of diversification? Geologists and biologists have long debated the precise combination of factors. One leading theory centers on the rise of atmospheric oxygen. As oxygen levels climbed following the Great Oxidation Event and subsequent events, it provided the energetic substrate necessary for larger, more complex, and more active life forms to evolve. More oxygen means more energy for metabolic processes, enabling the development of muscles, nervous systems, and eventually hard skeletons. Beyond oxygen, genetic innovations likely played a crucial role. The evolution of developmental genes, such as the Hox genes that control the body plan of an organism, may have provided the toolkit for generating a wide variety of new forms. These genes allow for the precise organization of body segments and appendages, providing the raw material for evolutionary experimentation. Imagine a library of genetic instructions suddenly becoming accessible, allowing for the rapid construction of diverse biological structures. Then there are the ecological feedback loops, the very appearance of new life forms, particularly those with hard parts and specialized feeding strategies, would have created new niches and new pressures. The development of burrowing animals, for instance, would have altered the seafloor environment, while the evolution of filter feeders would have changed ocean chemistry. These ecological shifts, in turn, would have driven further adaptation and diversification, creating a reinforcing cycle of change. This interconnected web of environmental and biological pressures forged the Cambrian world. Perhaps the most compelling explanation for the Cambrian explosion lies in the concept of an evolutionary arms race. With the advent of predation and its countermeasures, life was thrust into a relentless cycle of offense and defense. Predators evolved sharper teeth, faster speeds, and better sensory organs to catch their prey. In response, prey animals evolved harder shells, spines, protective coloration, and more elaborate escape mechanisms. This escalating competition, this biological arms race, would have been a powerful selective pressure, favoring any organism that could develop a new advantage, whether it was a more effective way to hunt or a more robust way to evade being hunted. Each innovation, each evolutionary step would have spurred a counter-innovation, driving rapid diversification and adaptation in a co-evolutionary dance. It's a dynamic that continues to shape life on Earth today, but its origins are clearly etched in the rocks of the Cambrian, a period where the very act of surviving became a catalyst for profound evolutionary change. And to understand how this arms race unfolded, we must delve deeper into the specific strategies that life employed to survive and thrive in this suddenly competitive world. The Cambrian explosion had painted the oceans with an astounding diversity of life, a vibrant tapestry woven over millions of years. But the waters, teeming as they were, represented only one stage in Earth's grand evolutionary theater. The true frontier, the next great challenge, lay beyond the reach of the tides, the vast, silent expanse of the land. This was a world waiting to be claimed, a realm of untapped potential, and the stage was being set for life's boldest migration yet. The Ordovician period, following the Cambrian fanfare, saw a continuation of this marine exuberance. The seas continued to churn with life, each new niche filled with specialized forms. Cephalopods, the ancient rulers of the deep, diversified into a bewildering array of shapes and sizes, some developing long, unwieldy shells, becoming the nautiloids that would dominate the oceans for millennia. This was also a golden age for early vertebrates. The jawless fish, descendants of the earliest chordates, continued their reign. They were simple creatures, often slug-like, feeding by siphoning sediment from the seabed. Beneath the waves, a remarkable burst of innovation and expansion was underway, a phenomenon geologists have termed the Great Ordovician Biodiversification Event. It wasn't just a matter of more species appearing. It was a profound increase in the complexity and variety of marine ecosystems. Life was not merely surviving, it was thriving, filling every conceivable corner of the marine environment. New types of corals began to form, building intricate structures that offered shelter and new habitats. Echinoderms, like starfish and sea lilies, became incredibly diverse, their ancient lineages branching out into countless forms. This explosion of life was not without its consequences. The very success of these evolving life forms began to alter the planet's chemistry. As more organisms consumed and produced, the delicate balance of the oceans shifted. The production of organic matter, particularly through the growth of photosynthetic organisms, began to draw down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, potentially initiating a cooling trend. The stage was being meticulously prepared, the conditions subtly altered for a transition that would redefine the very concept of life on Earth. The oceans were reaching their saturation point, and the call of the land, silent and unyielding, was growing ever stronger. But before life could fully commit to this new terrestrial phase, the deep marine world would experience its first major setback, a stark reminder that evolution is rarely a smooth, upward climb. The Great Ordovician Biodiversification Event was a period of unprecedented biological expansion, a time when the oceans teemed with more distinct forms of life than ever before. New ecological roles emerged, from sophisticated filter feeders to active predators. But this flourishing, this incredible proliferation of species, was not destined to last. Like a magnificent forest reaching its peak, it contained the seeds of its own undoing. The very interconnectedness that fueled this diversification also made the ecosystem vulnerable to shocks. As the Ordovician drew to a close, Earth's climate began a dramatic downturn. Glaciers formed, sea levels dropped, and the vast, shallow seas that had nurtured so much life began to recede, freezing out or becoming inhospitable. This marked the first of the great mass extinctions, a catastrophic event that swept away a staggering amount of marine biodiversity. Entire families of organisms vanished, leaving behind quieted seas and a starkly simplified biological landscape. It was a brutal pruning, a harsh lesson in the fragility of even the most successful forms of life. Yet life is remarkably resilient. The survivors of this cataclysm, though fewer in number, carried within them the genetic blueprints for adaptation. As the ice ages waned and the waters warmed once more, these tenacious lineages began to recolonize the damaged oceans. This period of recovery, the Silurian, was not a mere return to the past. It was a time of new beginnings, of fresh evolutionary pathways forged in the crucible of extinction. Crucially, the Silurian saw the first tentative steps of life onto the land. Plants, simple and low-lying at first, began to establish a foothold in the damp margins of freshwater bodies. These pioneers, perhaps related to modern mosses and liverworts, released oxygen into the atmosphere and began the slow process of soil formation. Alongside them, arthropods the ancient relatives of insects and crustaceans ventured out of the water. These early terrestrial explorers were likely scavengers and detritivores, feeding on decaying plant matter. Their movement onto land was a momentous shift, a gradual loosening of the ocean's ancient grip. The oceans, too, were not idle. The recovery from the Ordovician extinction led to the rise of new dominant groups. Jawed fish, a revolutionary development that gave vertebrates the power of a bite, began to diversify, becoming more effective predators. And then there were the reefs, building upon the skeletal remains of their predecessors, and new architectural forms. Silurian reefs grew into complex, vibrant ecosystems, once again teeming with life, a testament to the enduring power of biological creativity. But as life etched its first precarious trails across the land, a fundamental question loomed. How would these two worlds, the ancient sea and the nascent land, truly merge and interact? The Silurian period marked a critical turning point, not only for the oceans, but for the very fabric of life on Earth, while marine environments continued their recovery and diversification, with jawed fish asserting their dominance and new reef systems forming vibrant, complex ecosystems. The real revolution was happening at the edges of existence. Life was beginning to understand that the vast, sun-drenched expanse of the land, previously a barren and alien territory, held possibilities beyond imagination. The first terrestrial colonizers were plants. These were not the towering forests we know today, but hardy, simple forms, perhaps resembling liverworts or mosses. They clung to moist soil, their structures rudimentary, lacking true leaves, stems, or roots. Yet their mere presence was monumental. By photosynthesizing, they began to alter the atmospheric composition, slowly releasing oxygen and initiating the long geological process of soil creation. They were the architects of a new environment, softening the harsh mineral landscapes with a growing green blush. Accompanying these pioneering plants were the arthropods. These ancient lineages, already successful in the oceans as crustaceans, ventured onto land. Early terrestrial arthropods were likely small, segmented creatures, perhaps resembling millipedes or scorpions. They fed on the decaying plant matter left by the first land plants, acting as vital decomposers. Their chitinous exoskeletons provided crucial protection against desiccation and physical damage, allowing them to survive in conditions that would have been fatal to purely aquatic organisms. This dual colonization, plants creating habitat and food sources, arthropods exploiting them, laid the foundation for the terrestrial ecosystems that would eventually dominate the planet. It was a slow, arduous process, a series of incremental steps, each one a triumph of adaptation over a hostile environment. The air was thin, the sunlight harsh, and the threat of drying out ever present. Yet life persisted, driven by an ancient imperative to expand, to explore, to conquer new frontiers. Back in the oceans, the recovery was impressive. The extinction event of the late Ordovician had cleared the slate, allowing new groups to flourish. The cephalopods, though diminished from their Ordovician peak, continued to evolve, with some developing more streamlined forms. But the true game changers were the vertebrates. The emergence of jaws in fish was a profound evolutionary innovation, transforming them from passive filter feeders and scavengers into active hunters. This development would eventually pave the way for the land vertebrates. The Silurian also witnessed the resplendent rebirth of marine reefs, building on the foundations laid by Ordovician organisms. New groups of corals, along with stromatoporids, which were important reef-building sponges, constructed elaborate, multi-tiered structures. These reefs, much like modern ones, became biodiversity hotspots, teeming with a complex community of organisms that lived within, on, and around them. They were oases of abundance in a recovering world. However, the story of the Silurian is also one of impending change. The success of jawed fish in the seas signaled a new era of predation, and the growing presence of life on land, especially plant life, was inexorably altering the Earth's atmosphere and climate in ways that would have profound and perhaps unpredictable long-term consequences. The delicate balance between the oceans and the emergent land was being redefined, and the question was not if further dramatic shifts would occur, but when and how they would manifest, leading us into the Devonian, a period often dubbed the Age of Fishes, where the evolutionary currents would carry life to astonishing new heights and prepare it for an even more audacious leap. The Silurian saw the consolidation of life on land and a vibrant resurgence in the seas. Plants, though still simple, began to spread, their presence altering the very air we breathe and the ground beneath our feet. Arthropods, with their protective exoskeletons, were becoming the dominant terrestrial invertebrates. In the oceans, the recovery was spectacular. Jawed fish, a significant evolutionary innovation, began to diversify, becoming more prominent predators and diversifying into a wide range of forms. Silurian reefs, built by new generations of corals and sponges, became complex ecosystems, miniature metropolises of marine life. But the most profound transformation was not just in the number of species, but in the fundamental migration of life. We have seen the first tentative steps, the earliest pioneers reaching out from the watery cradle. Plants were beginning to establish themselves, not merely surviving, but actively shaping the terrestrial environment. Arthropods were following, finding new food sources and new niches. This was more than just an expansion. It was a redefinition of what life could be, of where life could exist. The establishment of even these simple plants on land was a geological event in itself. It began the slow, patient work of weathering rock and creating soil, transforming barren landscapes into something potentially habitable. Their roots, however rudimentary, could break down rock. Their decomposition added organic matter, creating a substrate for future growth. This was the dawn of terrestrial ecosystems, a fragile but ultimately world-altering process. And the arthropods were not merely passive inhabitants. Their movements, their feeding, their very existence further stirred the nascent soils. They were the first terrestrial gardeners and decomposers, essential cogs in the machinery of a new biome. The interplay between these early plants and arthropods was the embryonic stage of all terrestrial life that would follow. Meanwhile, the marine world was experiencing its own renaissance. The extinctions that had ended the Ordovician had cleared the way for new evolutionary experiments. The diversification of jawed fish was particularly significant. For the first time, vertebrates had a true weapon for predation, a tool for active hunting and defense. This technological leap would have far-reaching implications for the evolution of marine food webs, and eventually for life venturing back onto land. The Silurian reefs, in their complexity and scale, demonstrated the enduring power of collective biological architecture, creating niches for countless other organisms. Yet, as life gained a firmer footing on land and continued its vibrant exploration of the seas, a new era was dawning, one that would see the full flowering of vertebrate life in the oceans and set the stage for the next great evolutionary leaps. The seeds sown in the Silurian were beginning to sprout, and the world was about to enter the Devonian, a period where the oceans would teem with a breathtaking array of fish, and the land, now more prepared than ever, would witness the most significant conquest. Yet the emergence of the tetrapod, the four-limbed vertebrate, ready to walk where only the arthropods had dared to tread. And it is into this watery spectacle, this age of burgeoning fish diversity, that our narrative must now turn. The Silurian seas had pulsed with new life, a testament to the resilience of a world still finding its footing after ancient catastrophes. But the waters of the Devonian were about to become something far more profound. Imagine a realm not just populated, but dominated by an astonishing array of vertebrates. This was the age of fishes, and it was a transformation unlike any seen before. The oceans, once a stage for simpler forms, now teemed with a dizzying diversity. Armored placoderms, with their formidable bony plates, patrolled the depths. Sharks, sleek and predatory, began their long reign as apex hunters, but it was a quieter, more subtle group that held the key to a future beyond the waves. Among them, the lobe-finned fishes emerged, their fins not mere paddles, but fleshy appendages supported by bone. These were not just swimming tools, they were protolimbs, hinting at a power to push, to prop, perhaps even to walk. Amongst these burgeoning forms, an ancient whisper of possibility grew louder. This was not merely evolution at play. It was the planet itself preparing for a grand experiment, a transfer of life from the fluid embrace of the sea to the solid, challenging ground of the continents. The air was changing, the land was ready, and the creatures within the water held the blueprints for a new kind of existence. The sheer variety of fish in the Devonian is staggering. It's easy to get lost in the wonder of it all, to picture the ancient oceans as a living mosaic of scales and fins. We see the placoderms, some massive, others smaller and more agile, all encased in a natural armor that spoke of a world where defense was as crucial as offense. Then there are the early sharks, their cartilaginous skeletons, and rows of sharp teeth hinting at the enduring success of their lineage. But within this vibrant tapestry, a lineage of bony fishes, the osteichthyes, began to distinguish themselves. Among these bony fish, a particularly vital group was developing. These were the sarcopterygians, the lobe-finned fishes. Their fins were not just extensions of their bodies. They were robust structures, containing bones that mirrored the limb structure of land vertebrates. Think of them as evolutionary cousins to the limbs we possess today. These fins allowed for more than just propulsion. They could be used for maneuvering on the seafloor, for pushing against the substrate, and in shallow, oxygen-poor waters. They might have even served as crude, air-breathing apparatus. One can almost feel the tentative push against the mud, the struggle to gain purchase, the dawning realization of a world beyond the water's edge. These fins were the crucial innovation. They were a bridge, a tangible link between an aquatic existence and the terrestrial frontier. The gradual strengthening of these bony supports, the development of joints, and the increasing musculature were not random events. They were the silent preparations for a world that demanded a different kind of locomotion, a world where gravity was a constant, unforgiving force. As these creatures navigated the ancient seabed, their fins began to function not just as swimming aids, but as rudimentary supports. It was a slow, deliberate process, unfolding over millions of years, but the potential was immense. These developments were not confined to a single species or lineage. Across different groups of lobe-finned fish, this adaptation was taking hold. It was as if the very conditions of the Devonian, perhaps fluctuating water levels, perhaps the availability of new food sources in shallow habitats, were selecting for these more robust, more utilitarian fins. The evolutionary pressure was building, and the stage was being set for a monumental transition, a moment when the boundary between sea and land would be definitively crossed by creatures with backbones. To understand this profound shift, we must focus on the very structures that allowed these fishes to take their first tentative steps towards a new domain. This was not a sudden leap, but a gradual unfolding, a species inching its way out of the water, testing the air, and discovering the possibility of terrestrial movement. The fossil record whispers of these critical moments. A fish found in ancient riverbeds, their fins showing signs of adaptation for weight bearing. Imagine them lifting their heads out of the water, gulping air, their pectoral and pelvic fins providing just enough support to keep their bodies partially elevated. These were not yet true land animals, but they were on the precipice. The genetic architecture for limbs already in place. The transition from fin to limb is one of the most profound stories in evolutionary history. It is the story of a biological structure adapting to an entirely new environment and function. The lobe-finned fishes possessed the skeletal elements, the humerus, radius, and ulna in the forelimbs, the femur, tibia, and fibula in the hindlimbs, in nascent form within their fins. These bones, once used for paddling and steering, began to take on the role of weight support. The evolutionary pressure to survive in shallow, oxygen-depleted waters or to exploit new terrestrial food sources was immense. Consider the early tetrapods, the first four-limbed vertebrates. They were not alien invaders from another planet. They were the descendants of these very fishes. Their limbs were a direct modification of their ancestral fins. The pectoral fins, attached to a shoulder girdle, provided the push-off and supported the front of the body. The pelvic fins, connected to a hip girdle, did the same for the rear. This anatomical continuity is crucial. It demonstrates that the transition was not a matter of inventing entirely new structures, but of repurposing and refining existing ones. The raw materials were already present in the fin. The fossil evidence, though sometimes sparse, paints a compelling picture. Ichthyostega, for instance, one of the earliest known tetrapods, possessed robust limbs with distinct digits, suggesting it could indeed walk on land, albeit perhaps clumsily. Yet it also retained features characteristic of its aquatic ancestors, indicating a life spent perhaps equally in water and on land. A true amphibian of the Devonian, this dual existence was key to the successful colonization of land. It allowed for a gradual adaptation, mitigating the risks of a full terrestrial commitment. The ability to return to water offered a crucial safety net as these pioneers explored the unknown. This period saw the tentative but persistent exploration of the land by these remarkable creatures. They were not yet the dominant land animals, but their presence marked a fundamental shift in the balance of life. The development of lungs, allowing them to breathe air, was as critical as the evolution of limbs. Together, these adaptations opened up a vast new frontier, a world previously trod only by arthropods. The evolutionary journey from fin to limb was a testament to the plasticity of life, the ability of organisms to adapt and transform in response to to environmental pressures, forever changing the trajectory of vertebrate evolution. And as these pioneers ventured onto solid ground, another, even more dramatic, transformation was reshaping the very landscape they were beginning to inhabit. The terrestrial world of the Devonian was about to undergo a radical alteration, one that would fundamentally change the atmosphere, the soil, and the very fabric of life on Earth. Prior to this era, plant life on land had been relatively humble. Low-lying mosses, liverworts, and small, fern-like plants. They hugged the ground, their root systems shallow, their structures delicate. But the Devonian witnessed the emergence of something entirely new. Trees, not just large plants, but true woody trees, capable of growing tall, with deep root systems and complex vascular structures. The earliest of these giants were primitive by our modern standards, but revolutionary for their time. Archaeopteris, for instance, possessed a trunk, branches, and leaves, and reproduced using seeds, a significant advancement over spore-based reproduction. Silophyton, another early tree, was characterized by its dichotomously branching stems and spore-bearing sporangia. These were not the silent, passive plants of earlier epochs. They were active participants in the ecosystem, engaging with the soil, the air, and the water in unprecedented ways. Their deep root systems were particularly transformative. They helped to stabilize the soil, preventing erosion and allowing for the accumulation of organic matter. This created richer, deeper soils, capable of supporting even more complex plant life. As these forests expanded, they began to alter the planet's physical geography, creating new habitats, influencing water cycles, and providing shelter and food for the burgeoning terrestrial fauna. The landscape itself was being terraformed by these botanical pioneers. Imagine the contrast: bare rock and sparse vegetation, giving way to vast, green expanses. These forests were ecosystems in their own right, providing niches for a multitude of organisms. They were the lungs of a developing world, their leaves busily photosynthesizing, drawing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and releasing oxygen. This was not just a change in scenery. It was a fundamental alteration of the planet's biogeochemical cycles. The scale of this transformation was immense, and its subtle effects would ripple through geological time, paving the way for forms of life that were previously unimaginable. The appearance of these large, woody plants had a profound impact on the global carbon cycle. Photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert carbon dioxide into organic matter, was now occurring on an unprecedented scale. The accumulation of dead plant material, especially in the absence of widespread decay mechanisms, began to lock away vast amounts of carbon in the developing soils. This had a direct and significant effect on the composition of the atmosphere, a change so dramatic that it would shape the evolution of life in ways we are still only beginning to comprehend. The forests of the Devonian were not just passive inhabitants of the land, they were active agents of change, their biological processes directly influencing the planet's atmosphere. As these trees grew taller, they established deeper root systems, breaking down rock and incorporating minerals into the soil. This process, known as weathering, is a key part of the carbon cycle. Plants draw carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to build their tissues, and when they die, this carbon can be stored in the soil. The sheer biomass of these expanding forests meant that significant amounts of carbon were being sequestered from the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide, a potent greenhouse gas, was being drawn down, and in its place, oxygen was being released. This process gradually altered the atmospheric composition, leading to a significant increase in the concentration of oxygen and a decrease in carbon dioxide. The implications of this chemical shift were immense, setting the stage for major evolutionary innovations and, paradoxically, for future dramatic changes. This atmospheric transformation was not instantaneous. It was a slow, persistent process, unfolding over millions of years. But the trend was clear. The Devonian forests were fundamentally altering the air that life breathed. The gradual increase in oxygen levels would have profound effects on respiration, metabolism, and the very size that organisms could achieve. Meanwhile, the decrease in carbon dioxide would begin to influence global temperatures, leading to cooler climates. The planet was breathing, and its breath was changing the world. This atmospheric shift, driven by the verdant expansion of the Devonian land, was creating entirely new evolutionary possibilities, and the stage was being set for the next great chapter in Earth's history. To truly grasp the magnitude of these changes, we must delve into what followed this remarkable atmospheric alteration. The world after the Devonian forests began to shift, not just in its atmosphere, but in its very land masses. The increased oxygen and decreased carbon dioxide had subtly cooled the planet, a change that favored the proliferation of new types of plant life, particularly those capable of thriving in waterlogged environments. These conditions set the stage for one of the most significant periods of organic matter accumulation in Earth's history, the Carboniferous period. Vast areas of the planet became inundated, creating expansive, shallow seas and drainage basins where fallen plant material, unable to fully decompose in the oxygen poor, waterlogged soils began to pile up. These were not forests like any we can readily imagine today. They were dense, sprawling swamps dominated by giant club mosses, horsetails, and ferns. Trees reached impressive heights, their roots delving deep into the saturated ground. As these colossal plants lived and died, their organic remains, rich in the carbon drawn from the atmosphere, were buried layer upon layer. The waterlogged nature of the swamps prevented complete decay, a process that typically returns carbon to the atmosphere through decomposition. Instead, this organic matter was compressed and transformed over eons. The sheer scale of this burial is almost incomprehensible. Imagine entire ecosystems teeming with life, slowly sinking beneath the water, their once vibrant biomass becoming the fundamental source of the coal we burn millennia later. This constant burial acted as a massive carbon sink, further impacting atmospheric composition and global temperatures. Within these sun-dappled, humid swamps, the building blocks of future energy were being laid down, a silent testament to the power of biological processes to reshape the planet. The layers of peat, the precursor to coal, built up to thicknesses measured in hundreds of meters, a testament to millions of years of uninterrupted growth and burial in these primeval wetlands. This vast accumulation of organic carbon offers a tangible link to past atmospheric conditions, a buried record of a planet profoundly different from our own. But these changes were not confined to the accumulation of swamps. The very ground beneath these forests was in motion. Continents, once distinct entities, were beginning a slow, colossal dance, driven by the powerful forces of plate tectonics. The Earth's massive crustal plates were drifting, colliding, and coalescing across the vast expanse of the globe. Land masses that had been separated for hundreds of millions of years were inching closer. This grand convergence was not a sudden event, but a gradual, inexorable fusion, forged in the crucible of geological time. These collisions generated immense heat and pressure, uplifting mountain ranges and altering ocean currents. The formation of these supercontinents was a defining characteristic of the late Paleozoic era. As land masses drifted together, shallow seas that once separated them were squeezed out, and vast plains were created. This merging of continents created new, larger land masses with more extreme continental climates, characterized by hotter summers and colder winters than were prevalent on smaller, more isolated continents. The impact on life was profound, creating new ecological niches and, in some cases, forcing species accustomed to moderate oceanic climates into harsher conditions. The process of Pangaea's assembly, the supercontinent that would dominate the Earth for a significant portion of its history, was a testament to the planet's dynamic nature. It was a story written in the rocks, in the foldings of ancient mountain belts, and in the distribution of geological formations. The vastness of Pangaea meant that large inland areas, far from the moderating influence of oceans, would experience dramatic temperature swings. This reshaping of continental geography was not merely a passive event. It actively shaped the evolution of life, driving adaptation and diversification in response to new environmental pressures. The formation of Pangaea was a singular event that rerouted the flow of oceans, redirected winds, and fundamentally altered the geological and climatic landscape for millions of years to come, setting the stage for the rich tapestry of life that would arise upon it. But the consequences of this continental merging were not solely geological. They reverberated through the very fabric of life. The unified landmass of Pangaea fostered a new array of environments, and life responded with remarkable diversity. With vast stretches of land now connected, species could migrate and intermingle in unprecedented ways. The flora adapted to the new continental climates, with drier inland regions favoring seed plants that could better withstand desiccation. Conifers and cycads began to dominate. Their tough, leathery leaves and woody structures suited to harsher conditions. In the terrestrial realms, reptiles, with their amniotic eggs that allowed independent reproduction away from water, began to truly flourish. These creatures, often referred to as amniotes, were ideally suited to the increasingly arid conditions found inland on Pangaea. Different groups evolved, diversifying into a menagerie of forms, from small, agile hunters to larger, herbivorous giants. They represented a significant evolutionary step, breaking the dependence on water for reproduction that had constrained amphibians. The oceans, too, bore witness to a dynamic reshuffling of life. Marine reptiles like ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs patrolled the waters, while ammonites, shelled cephalopods, continued their long reign. In the vast shallow seas that still existed, coral reefs teemed with life, supporting a complex web of fishes and invertebrates. The interconnectedness of Pangaea allowed for greater dispersal of marine species, but also exposed them to new competitive pressures and environmental shifts. The geological and climatic changes that accompanied Pangaea's formation created a mosaic of habitats, from steamy equatorial swamps to arid continental interiors and extensive coastal regions. This rich diversity of life, perfectly adapted to its time, painted a vibrant picture of Earth's living systems. Yet this flourishing was not destined to last. The very forces that assembled Pangaea also hinted at an approaching fragility, a silent warning written in the fossil record. The profound environmental changes ushered in by the formation of Pangaea, coupled with massive volcanic activity that released staggering amounts of greenhouse gases, created a perfect storm. This culminated in the most catastrophic extinction event Earth has ever witnessed, the Permian-Triassic extinction, often referred to as the Great Dying. It was a global catastrophe that reshaped life on Earth at its very foundation. The exact triggers are still debated, but the evidence points to a rapid and dramatic alteration of the planet's climate and chemistry. Searing heat waves, possibly driven by immense volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia, released vast quantities of carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere causing temperatures to soar. This greenhouse effect led to widespread ocean anoxia, meaning the oceans became starved of oxygen, suffocating marine life. The consequences were devastating. Over 90% of all marine species vanished. Entire ecosystems collapsed. Belemnites, brachiopods, crinoids, and countless other marine organisms that had thrived for millions of years were wiped out. On land, the picture was equally grim. An estimated 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species, including many amphibian and early reptilian groups, perished. Forests collapsed, and the intricate web of life was torn asunder. This extinction event was not a singular pulse, but likely occurred in multiple pulses over a period of a few 100,000 years. The scale of loss was so profound that it fundamentally altered the course of evolution. The very landscape of life was scoured clean, leaving space for new forms to arise from the ashes. The skeletal remains of this era tell a story of immense loss, a stark reminder of the planet's capacity for both creation and destruction. The Permian-Triassic extinction was a profound reset, a dark chapter that cleared the slate for the age of dinosaurs. But to understand how life could possibly recover from such devastation, we must examine the first tentative steps taken by the survivors. The silence after the Great Dying was not an end, but a pause. The wounds left by the Permian-Triassic cataclysm were deep, scars etched into the very fabric of existence. Yet, even in the most barren landscapes, life's stubborn will to persist began to stir. This was the dawn of the Mesozoic era, an age defined not by the cataclysm that preceded it, but by the slow, deliberate reawakening of a world desperate to heal. Evolution, a patient sculptor, began to chip away at the immensity of loss, shaping new forms from the remnants. In the Triassic period, the land was a mosaic of recovering ecosystems. The dominant reptiles, survivors of the extinction, began to diversify. Among them were the early dinosaurs, small bipedal creatures that moved with a surprising agility. They were not yet the giants that would later dominate, but their lineage held the promise of immense future power. Alongside them emerged the first of the marine reptiles, animals that would reclaim the oceans with a ferocity born of necessity. Plesiosaurs, with their long necks, and ichthyosaurs, like swift torpedoes, started to explore the shallow waters, filling niches left vacant by the vanished marine fauna. The recovery was not a sudden explosion, but a gradual blooming. Forests, once decimated, began to reassert their presence. Ferns and cycads carpeted the land, providing sustenance for the burgeoning herbivore populations. The early dinosaurs, still relatively small and overshadowed by larger, more established reptiles like the Rhysuchians and Phytosaurs, were nonetheless on a trajectory of rapid development. Their skeletal structures, lighter and more efficient than many of their contemporaries, hinted at a future of dominance. But the true genesis of the Mesozoic lay not just in the visible life forms, but in the slow geological processes that reshaped the planet. The supercontinent Pangaea, a monolithic landmass, began to fracture. Rifts opened, oceans began to form, and the very geography of Earth was being redrawn. These continental separations would eventually lead to the isolation of species, fostering unique evolutionary pathways on different landmasses. This tectonic ballet, unseen and unheard by the creatures it affected, was setting the stage for the coming age. The Triassic was a testament to resilience. It demonstrated that even after the most profound devastations, the intricate machinery of life could, given time, grind back into motion. It was an era of tentative beginnings, of small steps taken against a backdrop of immense geological change. And as the world pulled itself back from the brink, the foundations were being laid for the most iconic dynasty Earth would ever witness. The slow repopulation of Earth, initiated in the Triassic, would soon give rise to a different kind of life, creatures that would forever be etched into our collective imagination. To truly grasp the scale of this transition, we must turn our gaze to the giants that would soon rise, and the world that would become their stage. The Jurassic period arrived, and with it, a world transformed. The fractured continents of the Triassic continued their slow drift apart, creating new coastlines and widening seas. Pangaea was giving way to Laurasia in the north and Gondwana in the south, a dynamic continental ballet that reshaped climates and opened up new evolutionary frontiers. It was during this time that the dinosaurs truly came into their own, evolving into forms of breathtaking scale and diversity. The iconic herbivores of the Jurassic were the sauropods, gargantuan beasts that dwarfed all other terrestrial life. Brachiosaurus, with its giraffe-like neck reaching towards the highest branches, and Diplodocus, a colossal creature whose immense tail acted as a counterbalance, were lords of the ancient forests. These gentle giants, weighing many tons, moved with a slow, deliberate grace, their massive bodies supported by pillar-like legs. Their existence was a testament to the abundance of vegetation, a world rich with cycads, conifers, and ferns that could sustain such enormous appetites. But balance, as it always does, demanded a counterpoint. The Jurassic was also the age of the great carnivores. Allosaurus, a formidable predator with powerful jaws and sharp claws, stalked the plains and forests, a constant threat to even the largest herbivores. These apex predators, though not as famously recognized as their Cretaceous successors, were vital to maintaining the health of the ecosystems, culling the weak and ensuring the survival of the fittest. Their presence cast a shadow of primal fear across the landscape, a constant reminder of the raw power that nature wielded. This was also the era when the oceans began to teem with new life. responding to the shifting geological plates. The separation of continents created vast, shallow seas, ideal nurseries for marine life. Ichthyosaurs, the dolphin-like reptiles, continued their reign, hunting fish and ammonites with incredible speed. Plesiosaurs, with their long necks and paddle-like limbs, patrolled the deeper waters, their forms perfectly adapted to an aquatic existence. The breakup of Pangaea was not just a geological event, it was an evolutionary catalyst. As land masses separated, populations became isolated, leading to the development of distinct regional faunas. This geographic isolation allowed dinosaurs to evolve along diverse paths, filling specialized ecological niches. It was a period of unparalleled diversification, a golden age for these magnificent reptiles. Yet, beneath the dominance of the giants, a quieter revolution was stirring, the genesis of creatures that would one day reclaim the world. The age of giants was extraordinary, but it was also an age of building blocks, a foundation for even more radical change. And to witness these innovations, we must venture into the next epoch, where new forms of life would challenge the established order. This brings us to the Cretaceous period, a time of revolutionary change. The Cretaceous period dawned, a time of remarkable innovation and the flowering of new life. The tectonic ballet continued, with the continents drifting further apart, creating new oceans and altering atmospheric circulation. This period saw the emergence of life forms that would profoundly reshape the planet's ecosystems and pave the way for the future. The most significant of these innovations was the rise of flowering plants, angiosperms. These new plants, with their intricate reproductive strategies involving flowers and fruits, offered a rich new food source. Their ability to adapt and spread rapidly led to their eventual dominance over the older gymnosperm forests. This botanical revolution had a cascading effect on the animal kingdom. Herbivores evolved to digest these new, nutrient-rich plants, and in turn, insect populations specialized in pollinating them, creating complex coevolutionary relationships. Among the dinosaurs, the Cretaceous brought forth some of the most iconic species we recognize today. Tyrannosaurus rex, a name synonymous with prehistoric power, rose to prominence as an apex predator in North America. Its massive skull, powerful jaws, and serrated teeth made it a fearsome hunter. In Asia, related tyrannosaurs like Tarbosaurus filled similar roles. The herbivores also diversified. Hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, became incredibly successful, their specialized teeth allowing them to process tough plant matter. Ceratopsians, characterized by their bony frills and horns, such as Triceratops, emerged as formidable herbivores, capable of defending themselves against predators. The evolution of these diverse dinosaur groups reflected the increasing complexity and richness of the Cretaceous plant life. But the Cretaceous was not solely about the dinosaurs. It was also a period of significant development for smaller creatures. Mammals, which had existed as small, shrew-like animals since the Triassic, began to diversify. They were primarily nocturnal, living in the shadows of the dinosaurs, but their adaptability and ability to exploit new niches were crucial. Their small size, and in many cases, their furry insulation, allowed them to survive in a wider range of environments than their reptilian overlords. Similarly, birds, the feathered descendants of theropod dinosaurs, continued their evolutionary journey. They evolved the ability to fly with greater proficiency, exploiting aerial environments for foraging and escaping predators. The fossil record from the Cretaceous reveals a growing diversity of avian forms, hinting at the future dominance of feathered creatures in the skies. The Cretaceous was a vibrant, dynamic era, a period of explosive diversification and evolutionary leaps. The emergence of flowering plants and the diversification of dinosaurs, mammals, and birds created an intricate tapestry of life. But to truly understand the vibrancy of this time, we must delve into the ancient oceans, where a different kind of world flourished, teeming with unique and sometimes terrifying inhabitants. The shallow seas of the Cretaceous hold a captivating story of their own. The oceans of the Cretaceous were a realm of vibrant activity, a stark contrast to the barrenness that had followed the Permian extinction. As the continents continued their slow dance, new seas opened up, creating vast, shallow, and warm marine environments. These were ecosystems teeming with life, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of marine organisms. This period saw the diversification of many familiar marine invertebrates and the rise of new, formidable predators. The ammonites, shelled cephalopods that had survived earlier extinction events, reached their zenith in the Cretaceous. They came in an astonishing array of shapes and sizes, from small, coiled forms to enormous, flat-spiraled shells. These creatures were a vital part of the Cretaceous food web, serving as prey for many larger animals. Their abundant fossils are a hallmark of Cretaceous marine strata, a constant reminder of their once ubiquitous presence. The mosasaurs, a group of large, carnivorous marine lizards, became the undisputed rulers of the Cretaceous seas, descended from land-dwelling lizards that returned to the sea. They evolved into powerful swimmers with long, paddle-like limbs and massive jaws filled with sharp teeth. Ichthyosaurs, which had dominated earlier periods, began to decline, while pliosaurs and the new mosasaurs vied for dominance. Mosasaurs, in particular, were highly successful, preying on ammonites, fish, and even other marine reptiles. The shallow seas were also home to a rich diversity of fish. Bony fish, the ancestors of many modern species, continued to diversify and thrive. Sharks, ever-present predators, patrolled the waters, adapting to the changing prey populations. Large ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs, though facing increased competition, still maintained a presence in certain regions. Towards the end of the Cretaceous, the first true whales, or cetaceans, began to emerge. These early whales were more amphibious, with hind limbs still visible in their skeletal structure, indicating their transition from land to sea. They were likely smaller than their modern descendants, but represented a significant evolutionary step towards the marine mammals we know today. Their emergence in these rich marine environments highlights the opportunistic nature of evolution, with new forms arising to exploit available niches. These shallow, warm seas were not just alive, they were dynamic. Currents shifted, water temperatures fluctuated, and entire ecosystems could be influenced by the movements of these vast bodies of water. The interplay between these marine environments and the changing continents created a complex and ever-evolving world. The abundance of life in the Cretaceous oceans was a crucial factor in supporting the planet's overall biodiversity. It was a vibrant, thriving world, a stark contrast to the devastation of the past. But this age of flourishing life, the age of dinosaurs and their oceanic contemporaries, was approaching a dramatic and abrupt end. To understand the final moments of this era and the profound shock that awaited the planet, we must journey to the very end of the Cretaceous. The final moments of the Cretaceous period are etched not just in stone, but in the very memory of life on Earth. For 165 million years, the dinosaurs had been the undisputed rulers of this planet. They strode across continents, soared through the skies, and commanded the vast oceans. Their reign was a testament to evolutionary success. A grand symphony of life played out in countless forms. But this epic era was about to be silenced by a single cataclysmic event. The culprit, a celestial interloper, was an asteroid, or perhaps a comet, measuring some 10 to 15 kilometers across. It hurtled through the void, a harbinger of oblivion, destined for a collision course with our young Earth. Its target was a shallow sea, the site of what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. This was not a gentle cosmic kiss. This was a cosmic hammer blow. The moment of impact was unimaginable, striking the Earth with the force of billions of atomic bombs. It vaporized rock, creating a crater over 180 kilometers wide and 30 kilometers deep. The sheer energy released was so immense that it instantaneously melted and ejected vast quantities of Earth's crust and mantle into the atmosphere. The sky, for a brief, terrible instant, would have been brighter than 1,000 suns, followed by a darkness that would engulf the globe. This was the Chicxulub impact, the single most significant event in the last 66 million years. It was a moment of absolute destruction, a planetary-scale annihilation event that would rewrite the future of life in an instant. The immediate aftermath was not mere destruction. It was the birth of a global catastrophe. The initial blast wave was powerful enough to flatten forests for hundreds of kilometers around the impact site. But the true horror was airborne. Superheated debris, thrown miles high, rained back down upon the earth, igniting widespread wildfires. These fires, fueled by oxygen-rich conditions and dry vegetation, raged across continents, devouring entire ecosystems. Imagine the sky not blue, but a suffocating blanket of smoke and ash. This airborne debris, a veil of pulverized rock and soot, spread globally, blocking out the sun. For months, perhaps even years, the earth was plunged into a perpetual twilight. This impact winter was a chilling consequence of the impact. Temperatures plummeted, and the lack of sunlight starved plants of the energy they needed to photosynthesize. The base of the food chain collapsed. Herbivorous dinosaurs, deprived of their plant food, began to starve. Carnivorous dinosaurs, in turn, starved as their prey disappeared. The oceans, too, suffered immensely. The impact generated colossal tsunamis, waves hundreds of meters high that swept across coastlines, scouring vast inland areas and delivering a devastating blow to marine life. Within the geological record, the evidence is stark. A thin layer of iridium, a metal rare on Earth's surface but common in asteroids, is found globally at the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary, or KPG boundary. This is the indelible fingerprint of the impact, a cosmic scar marking the end of an era. Alongside it, shocked quartz and tektites, glassy beads formed from molten rock, further confirm the cataclysm. But not everything perished. Amidst this unimaginable devastation, a flicker of life persisted. Certain groups of organisms, through remarkable resilience or sheer luck, managed to endure. Small, burrowing mammals, for example, were perhaps less exposed to the immediate blast and the ensuing environmental chaos. Birds, the avian descendants of feathered dinosaurs, also survived. Their ability to fly may have offered them some advantage, allowing them to escape localized devastation and find pockets of sustenance. Many insects, amphibians, and reptiles also clung to existence, their smaller size and varied diets proving advantageous. These survivors were the seeds of a new world. They inhabited a planet profoundly altered, an Earth stripped bare, but not empty. The colossal extinction event, while devastating, had also cleared the stage. The ecological vacuum left by the departed dinosaurs and myriad other species was immense. This profound simplification of life, this universal reset, created unprecedented opportunities. The stage was now set for a new act in Earth's grand drama. The age of reptiles had ended, and the age of mammals was about to begin. A transition born from the ashes of an asteroid. To understand the scope of this new dawn, we must now explore this post-extinction world and the remarkable radiation of life that followed, known as the Cenozoic era. The silence that followed the asteroid's fury was not an end, but a profound pause. In the sudden absence of their colossal reptilian overlords, a new opportunity bloomed for the small, often nocturnal creatures that had scurried in the shadows of the Mesozoic. These were the mammals, humble survivors of a world dominated by giants. Their tiny forms, hidden in burrows or clinging to arboreal perches, had weathered the storm. Now, with the great chain of being dramatically reconfigured, their story truly began. This was the dawn of the Cenozoic era, an epoch marked by the remarkable ascent of mammals and a planet in constant, breathtaking flux. The immediate aftermath of the asteroid impact presented a world of stark contrasts. For a time, skies choked with dust plunged the planet into a prolonged twilight, a chilling echo of the cataclysm. But as the atmosphere slowly cleared and life, tenacious and persistent, began to reclaim the wounded Earth, the stage was set for a grand unfolding. Mammals, possessing characteristics like warm blood, live birth, and parental care, were exquisitely poised to capitalize on the ecological vacuum. They began to diversify at an astonishing pace, a phenomenon known as mammalian radiation. Gone were the dominant niches occupied by dinosaurs, leaving entire ecosystems ripe for exploration and exploitation. Consider the shrew-like ancestors of today's most diverse orders. Small, resourceful, and adaptable, they possessed the fundamental biological toolkit that evolution would sculpt into a dazzling array of forms within mere millions of years, a testament to the power of evolutionary opportunity. These lineages branched and diverged. They expanded into the skies as bats, into the oceans as whales and dolphins, and across the land as grazers, predators, and omnivores. This explosion of mammalian life was not merely a numerical increase. It was a fundamental reshaping of the biosphere, a vibrant testament to life's inexorable drive to fill every available space. And this rapid diversification was intimately tied to the planet's changing moods, its fluctuating climates, and the very ground beneath their paws as continents continued their slow dance. To truly grasp this mammalian dawn, we must first understand the extreme warmth that characterized its very beginnings, a period known as the Eocene hothouse. Following the devastation and the subsequent emergence of mammals, Earth embarked on a remarkable journey through a series of dramatic climatic shifts. The initial stages of the Cenozoic were defined by a period of exceptional warmth, an era often referred to as the Eocene hothouse. Global temperatures soared, creating a world vastly different from our own. Lush forests, teeming with life, extended poleward, reaching latitudes that would be frozen and barren today. Sea levels were significantly higher, inundating vast continental lowlands and creating extensive shallow seas. Imagine a planet where tropical conditions prevailed over much of its surface, a verdant, steamy expanse where unfamiliar flora and fauna thrived. This extreme warmth was likely driven by a combination of factors, including high levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and a different configuration of continents that facilitated ocean heat circulation. During this Eocene hothouse, mammals continued their spectacular diversification. With abundant food sources and a generally hospitable environment, new groups emerged and flourished. The ancestors of modern elephants, rhinoceroses, and tapirs roamed these warm lands, while the early forms of primates were exploring the arboreal highways of these ancient forests. It was a time of rapid evolutionary experimentation, a biological crucible forged in the fires of an exceptionally warm planet. The very architecture of life was being redrawn, with mammals not just surviving, but thriving and expanding into every conceivable niche. However, this period of warmth was not to last. The Earth's climate system is a complex, interconnected entity, and even subtle shifts in its components can trigger profound changes. As the Eocene drew to a close, a gradual but significant cooling trend began to take hold. This transition was not a sudden event, but a slow, inexorable descent into cooler temperatures that would ultimately redefine the planet's geography and the course of evolution. The lush, tropical landscapes of the Eocene began to recede, replaced by more temperate climes. This cooling marked a pivotal moment, ushering in a new era of geological and biological change. To understand the impact of this cooling, we must delve into the Oligocene and Miocene periods, where the Earth continued its gradual descent into a colder phase. The cooling that began at the end of the Eocene did not cease. Instead, it continued its relentless march, defining the subsequent Oligocene and Miocene epochs. This extended period witnessed a gradual but significant decline in global temperatures, a trend that would fundamentally reshape the planet's landscapes and ecosystems. The lush, tropical forests of the Eocene gave way to more temperate woodlands and, critically, the expansion of open grasslands. These vast, open plains provided new ecological opportunities and presented new challenges for the diversifying mammals. As the Earth cooled, ice began to form at the poles. Initially, these were seasonal ice caps, but over millions of years, they grew in size and persistence. This accumulation of ice on land had a profound effect on sea levels, causing them to drop significantly. Continents became more connected, and land bridges formed, allowing for greater migration and interaction between species. The great whales, which had begun their evolutionary journey in the warmer seas, now found themselves in a more dynamic, cooler ocean environment. Similarly, terrestrial mammals faced the stark reality of changing habitats. The rise of grasslands was a particularly significant development. Grasses are hardy plants that can thrive in a variety of conditions, and their rapid proliferation created a new dominant biome. This led to the evolution of new mammalian herbivores, specifically adapted to grazing on these tough, fibrous plants. Animals developed specialized teeth for grinding grass and digestive systems capable of extracting nutrients from this challenging food source. This, in turn, fueled the evolution of new predators, honed to hunt in these open environments. The planet was becoming a landscape of distinct ecological zones, shaped by the slow, persistent hand of cooling temperatures. But this cooling was merely a preamble to an even more dramatic and cyclical phase of Earth's climatic history. To truly appreciate the modern world, we must now turn our attention to the dramatic glaciations of the Pleistocene ice ages. The cooling trends of the Oligocene and Miocene laid the groundwork for one of the most dramatic and defining phases of Earth's recent history, the Pleistocene ice ages. This epoch, relatively short in geological terms, but incredibly impactful, was characterized by a series of dramatic climatic swings, oscillating between periods of intense glaciation and warmer interglacial intervals. Imagine vast ice sheets, miles thick, periodically overwhelming much of the northern hemisphere, scraping the land clean and sculpting the very face of continents. During the glacial periods, global temperatures plummeted. Ice sheets expanded from the polar regions, creeping southward over North America, Europe, and Asia. This immense volume of ice locked up vast amounts of water, causing sea levels to drop dramatically, exposing continental shelves and creating land bridges that facilitated the migration of animals, including our own ancestors. The landscapes were transformed into stark, frozen expanses, punctuated by hardy, cold, adapted vegetation. Megaherbivores like mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses roamed these frigid plains, while formidable predators like saber-toothed cats stalked their prey. But the Pleistocene was not a perpetual winter. These glacial periods were interspersed with warmer interglacial periods, often lasting tens of thousands of years. During these times, the ice sheets would retreat, sea levels would rise, and temperatures would moderate, allowing for the expansion of forests and a return to more temperate ecosystems. Life adapted to these cycles, with species either migrating, hibernating, or developing adaptations to survive the cold. The constant ebb and flow of the ice created a dynamic environment, driving speciation and shaping the evolutionary trajectories of countless organisms. The very patterns of life we see today were, in many ways, forged in the crucible of these repeating ages of ice. To understand the continuing drama of these climatic shifts, we must consider the legacy of these ice ages and the emergence of the planet we inhabit today. The Quaternary period. The Quaternary period, stretching back over 2 million years, is a testament to Earth's dynamic, ever-changing climatic dance. We've traced the grand cycles of ice and thaw, the sculpting of landscapes, and the tenacious drive of life, adapting to extreme swings. But as we emerge from the shadows of those immense ice sheets and look out at the cosmos, a more profound mystery begins to unfold. The very fabric of the universe itself seems to be woven with threads we cannot see, an invisible scaffolding that dictates the grand cosmic ballet. To truly grasp the immensity of existence, we must turn our gaze outward to the silent, unseen forces that shape galaxies and hold the universe together. We have seen how gravity shapes planets and pulls stars into celestial dances. Yet, when we peer into the cosmic expanse, the familiar laws of gravity seem to bend to an unseen influence. The stars within galaxies, for instance, are a source of profound bewilderment. They orbit their galactic centers with an astonishing speed, a speed far greater than the gravitational pull of all the visible stars, gas, and dust combined could ever sustain. Imagine a child's merry-go-round. The children on the outer edge are moving faster, but if they spun too quickly, they would be flung off. In galaxies, the stars on the periphery are spinning with such velocity that they should, by all rights, be breaking free, scattering into the void. This cosmic anomaly, first noticed in the rotation curves of spiral galaxies, points to an undeniable truth. There must be a vast reservoir of unseen mass, a gravitational anchor holding these stellar islands together. It's as if the visible parts of the galaxy are merely the luminous tips of an immense, submerged iceberg. This invisible substance, which we have come to call dark matter, appears to far outweigh all the ordinary matter. Stars, planets, nebulae, everything we can detect with our telescopes combined. It's a humbling realization, a silent whisper from the universe, that much of its substance remains utterly beyond our current perception, exerting its influence through gravity alone. This unseen presence is not confined to the edges of galaxies. It warps the very fabric of space-time, bending the light that travels from distant quasars and galaxies. This phenomenon, known as gravitational lensing, acts like a cosmic magnifying glass, but one whose properties are dictated by an invisible hand. When light from a far-off galaxy passes near a massive object, like a galaxy cluster, its path is bent, much like light passing through a glass lens. But the degree of bending, the distortion and magnification we observe, often implies far more mass than is visually apparent. The light of the universe, traveling for billions of years, is subtly, yet powerfully, steered by this ubiquitous dark matter. It creates arcs, rings, and multiple images of distant objects, revealing the presence of massive, invisible structures. These cosmic mirages offer direct evidence that the gravitational field of these regions is much stronger than the visible matter alone can explain. It's as if the universe is sketching with invisible ink, and we are only beginning to decipher the grand design. The patterns of light, warped and twisted, become a Rosetta Stone, hinting at an unseen architect. But the whispers of dark matter are not limited to the large-scale structures of galaxies and clusters. They echo even in the faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself, the cosmic microwave background radiation. The oldest light in the universe carries subtle temperature fluctuations, like ripples on a primordial pond. These patterns, painstakingly mapped by instruments like the Planck satellite, are not entirely consistent with a universe composed solely of ordinary matter. The distribution of these hot and cold spots, their size and intensity, are exquisitely sensitive to the total amount of matter and energy present in the early universe. When cosmologists try to model these patterns using only the matter we can see, the simulations simply don't match the observed data. There's a discrepancy, a missing piece that these early universe fingerprints seem to demand. These subtle anomalies in the cosmic microwave background are not random noise. They speak of a gravitational influence that was already at play in the universe's infancy, shaping the initial distribution of matter, and thus the seeds of the large-scale structures we see today. It's a ghostly imprint, a trace of dark matter's pervasive effect, even before the first stars or galaxies had fully formed. The evidence is accumulating, a consistent refrain sung by galactic rotation, warped starlight, and the echoes of creation. Given this overwhelming evidence, the question naturally arises: what is this invisible substance? The search for the identity of dark matter has led scientists down many theoretical paths, each with its own allure and its own set of challenges. One of the leading candidates has long been weakly interacting massive particles, or WIMPs. These hypothetical particles are thought to be massive, interact only through gravity and the weak nuclear force, and thus be notoriously difficult to detect. They would have been produced in the hot, dense conditions of the early universe and would still be streaming through us, through the Earth, and through our most sensitive detectors, completely unnoticed. Another intriguing possibility is axions, much lighter hypothetical particles that were originally proposed to solve a different problem in particle physics, but could also account for dark matter. These particles would interact even more weakly than WIMPs, making their detection an even more formidable task. The challenge lies in building experiments sensitive enough to catch these elusive particles, to register their faint whispers amidst the cosmic noise. It's a cosmic game of hide-and-seek, played across vast scales of space and time, and the stakes are nothing less than understanding the fundamental composition of everything. To unravel this cosmic mystery, we must delve deeper into the universe's unseen tapestry, and the next frontier lies in understanding the nature of these elusive particles. The universe, it seems, is not as transparent as it appears. We have spent millennia observing the luminous, the tangible, the matter that reflects and emits light. Yet, the story of the cosmos is incomplete without acknowledging the profound influence of forces and substances that lie beyond our direct senses. The evidence for dark matter is compelling, painting a picture of a universe dominated by an invisible component. But the true nature of this unseen mass remains one of the greatest enigmas of modern science. The journey to understand dark matter has taken us from the whirling arms of galaxies to the faint imprint of the Big Bang. We see its gravitational hand everywhere, shaping the formation and evolution of cosmic structures, influencing the very geometry of space-time. Yet its identity remains shrouded in mystery. The leading theoretical candidates, like WIMPs and axions, offer tantalizing possibilities, but their elusive nature presents immense challenges for direct detection. Experimenters are pushing the boundaries of technology, building detectors deep underground, shielded from cosmic rays, hoping to catch a fleeting interaction, a subtle signal that might reveal the secret of dark matter. The implications of this unseen component are staggering. It suggests that the universe we observe, the stars, planets, galaxies, is merely a fraction, perhaps only about 5% of the total mass energy content of the cosmos. The remaining 95% is composed of dark matter and dark energy, two profound mysteries that are fundamentally reshaping our understanding of reality. Dark matter provides the gravitational scaffolding that holds galaxies together, acting as the invisible hand that guides their formation and evolution. Without it, the universe would look very different, perhaps too diffuse for stars and galaxies to ever form. But the evidence for dark matter is not merely theoretical. It is etched into the very observations we make of the cosmos. Galactic rotation curves, the bending of light through gravitational lensing, and the subtle patterns in the cosmic microwave background all converge to paint a consistent picture. Stars in the outer regions of galaxies orbit far faster than they should based on the visible matter present. Light from distant galaxies is bent and distorted by massive objects in ways that suggest far more mass is present than we can see, and the early universe's afterglow holds clues that point to the gravitational dominance of unseen matter. Scientists are exploring various avenues in their quest to identify dark matter. Particle physics experiments are searching for direct evidence of WIMPs. By looking for the faint recoil of atomic nuclei when a WIMP particle passes through a detector. Other experiments are attempting to detect axions, which would behave very differently and require different detection strategies. The search is a race against time and ingenuity, a testament to humanity's relentless drive to comprehend the universe. The sheer scale of this unseen component and our struggle to pin it down hints at a universe far stranger and more complex than we ever imagined. And as we contemplate this vast, invisible realm, we must also consider the force that is even more dominant, the one that is actively pushing the universe apart. Dark energy, the silent partner of Earth, our moon, has long held our gaze, a luminous beacon in the night sky. We understand its phases, its tides, its gentle glow. Yet beneath this familiarity lies a profound mystery, a cosmic question mark that has puzzled astronomers and geologists for decades. Its origins, its very substance, seem to whisper of events so violent and so strange that our current understanding feels like only a partial truth. The prevailing theory, the giant impact hypothesis, suggests our moon was born from a cataclysmic collision. A Mars-sized protoplanet, often named Theia, is thought to have slammed into the early Earth. The debris from this colossal impact, a molten, vaporized, and shattered mix of both bodies, eventually coalesced in orbit to form what we call the moon. It is a powerful image, a tale of creation forged in fire and brute force. But as we peer closer, as our instruments uncover finer details, this elegant explanation begins to fray at the edges, revealing inconsistencies that demand our attention. For the giant impact hypothesis to hold entirely true, the moon should be a near-perfect blend of Earth and impactor material. Yet, when we examine lunar samples brought back by daring missions and painstakingly analyzed, we find peculiar ratios of isotopes. Oxygen isotopes, for instance, are remarkably similar between Earth and the moon. Too similar, in fact. If Theia was truly a distinct body with its own isotopic signature, this suggests a far more thorough mixing than the impact model easily allows. Furthermore, the moon is surprisingly depleted in volatile elements, those substances that evaporate at relatively low temperatures, like water and potassium. A cataclysmic impact event, spewing superheated vapor into space, should have scattered these volatiles widely. Yet their scarcity on the moon, compared to Earth, hints at conditions or processes we have yet to fully grasp. It raises the unsettling possibility that our moon is not simply a cosmic accident, but a more intricate consequence of planetary evolution. The very building blocks of our celestial neighbor seem to defy a simple, singular act of creation. And then there is the enigma of the moon's core. When we look at our own planet, we see a substantial metallic core, a dynamo generating our protective magnetic field. But the moon's core is remarkably small, a mere fraction of its overall size. This scarcity of iron and other heavy metals is difficult to reconcile with a model where the moon is largely composed of material from the Earth's mantle, which itself contains a significant proportion of these elements. Seismic data gathered by the Apollo missions using sensitive seismometers left on the lunar surface offers a tantalizing glimpse into the moon's hidden architecture. These instruments detected faint tremors, seismic waves that rippled through the lunar interior, revealing a layered structure not unlike Earth's own. A crust, a mantle, and a core, but the data also hinted at peculiarities, perhaps a partially molten region within the mantle, a magma ocean that lingered far longer than expected. These tremors, though subtle, speak of internal dynamics that are far from settled, suggesting a world that may have been more geologically active than we often imagine. These lunar riddles, from its isotopic composition to its small core and the echoes within its stone heart, compel us to ask more. What truly forged our moon? And what secrets does its internal structure still hold? The answers, we suspect, are tied to the very earliest moments of our solar system's history, a period where planet formation itself was a chaotic dance of unimaginable forces. But before we delve deeper into the moon's dissected layers, let us explore the strange matter that comprises its very being, the peculiar chemistry that makes it so unlike anything else in our celestial neighborhood. The moon's composition presents a perplexing paradox. While the giant impact hypothesis accounts for a large portion of its mass, it struggles to explain why lunar rocks are so similar in certain chemical aspects to Earth's mantle, and yet so dramatically different in others. Specifically, the depletion of volatile elements, those that readily vaporize, is a profound anomaly. Elements like sodium, potassium, and water are found in much lower concentrations on the moon than would be expected if it were formed from the vaporized debris of a massive collision. Imagine the immense heat generated by a planetary impact, the vast quantities of molten rock and vaporized material that were ejected into space should have, by all accounts, carried along these volatile components. Yet the moon seems to have shed them with unusual efficiency. This suggests that either the impact itself was somehow uniquely capable of stripping away these elements, or that the material that formed the moon underwent a separate, significant processing phase before it finally condensed. This depletion of volatiles is not a minor detail. It is a crucial piece of evidence that challenges the straightforward narrative of an impact. It forces us to consider scenarios where the accreting moon was subjected to extreme temperatures or prolonged heating, perhaps in a disk of debris that orbited Earth for a considerable time, allowing lighter elements to escape. The moon's very dryness, its lack of widespread surface water, and its mineralogy are direct consequences of this ancient shedding. Beyond volatiles, there are curious isotopic ratios that complicate the picture, while oxygen isotopes are remarkably consistent between Earth and Moon, suggesting a thorough mix Other isotopic systems tell a different story. The relative abundance of certain siderophile elements, elements that tend to bond with iron and are typically found in a planet's core, in lunar samples compared to Earth's mantle, is also not perfectly explained by the standard impact model. If the moon is primarily derived from Earth's mantle, these elements should be present in predictable amounts. Their deviations hint at complex chemical fractionation processes occurring during or after the impact. These compositional oddities are not just academic curiosities. They are clues pointing towards the complex, dynamic, and perhaps chaotic conditions that governed the birth of our planetary system. The moon's chemical fingerprint is a testament to an ancient crucible, a fiery forge where matter was not simply thrown together, but actively reshaped. This raises the question of what else might be hidden within the moon's stony exterior, and what the implications of this unique chemical makeup are for its internal structure. To understand this, we must turn our attention to the heart of the moon, or rather, the surprising lack of one. The puzzle extends to the very core of our celestial companion. When scientists analyze the moon's density and its gravitational field, they are confronted with a striking reality. The moon possesses a disproportionately small metallic core compared to its overall size. For a body of its mass and composition, one might expect a substantial iron-nickel core, similar to Earth's, driving magnetic fields and internal geological activity. Instead, the moon's core appears to be minimal, perhaps only a few hundred kilometers in diameter, and possibly not even fully molten. This diminutive core has profound implications for the moon's internal structure and its past geological evolution. A large metallic core is often the engine for a planet's magnetic field, a vital shield against harmful solar radiation. The moon's weak, remnant magnetic field, detected in certain lunar rocks, suggests that any dynamo activity it once possessed was short-lived, or never as robust as Earth's. This lack of a strong, sustained magnetic field is a mystery in itself, and the small core provides a compelling, yet incomplete, explanation. The formation of planetary cores is typically driven by differentiation, a process where denser materials like iron sink to the center, while lighter silicates form the outer layers. For the moon to have such a small metallic core, either the initial accretion process delivered far less iron than expected, or much of the iron was somehow prevented from reaching the center. The giant impact hypothesis, in its simplest form, struggles to account for this deficiency. If the moon formed from a mixture of Earth and impactor material, and both bodies had at least partially differentiated cores, a significant amount of iron should have been incorporated into the moon's bulk. Could it be that the impact event itself caused such extreme heating and mixing that differentiation was fundamentally altered? or perhaps the material that coalesced to form the moon, was predominantly from the mantles of Earth and the impactor, with very little core material being successfully incorporated into the ensuing debris disk. Whatever the reason, the moon's small core is a stark indicator of its unique formation pathway, a deviation from the typical planetary blueprint. This internal disparity raises further questions about the moon's layered architecture and how seismic waves would traverse such an unusual interior. It leads us to wonder what secrets are still buried deep within the lunar stone and how its internal structure truly behaves. To uncover this, we must look at the evidence gathered from the moon's silent rumblings, the seismic whispers from the moon, gathered by the Apollo mission's seismometers, have provided invaluable insights into its hidden structure. Yet they too leave us with unresolved questions. These instruments, sensitive to the faintest tremors, both those generated by meteoroid impacts and by the moon's own internal processes, however subtle, have painted a picture of a layered world. Beneath the familiar dusty surface lies a crust, miles thick, composed primarily of silicate rocks. This crust transitions into a mantle, a vast region that constitutes the bulk of the moon's interior. But the seismic data also suggests a more complex reality than a simple shell of rock. Evidence points towards a degassed and depleted mantle, a region that was once a molten magma ocean. The cooling and solidification of this ancient ocean likely created distinct layers within the mantle itself, perhaps with pockets of partially molten material or unique mineral compositions that influence how seismic waves travel. The seismic records show distinct reflections and refractions, indicating sharp boundaries between these internal layers. What is particularly intriguing and unsettling are the anomalies within this seismic picture. Some researchers have noted that seismic waves seem to travel through the moon's interior in ways that suggest unexpected variations in density or composition. There are hints of regions where the mantle might be more fluid than expected, or where certain minerals behave in ways that are not fully explained by our current understanding of lunar geology. These are not loud pronouncements, but subtle deviations in timing and amplitude of seismic signals, like faint echoes that don't quite match the expected sound. The presence of a region that appears to be partially molten, or at least less rigid, deep within the lunar mantle, has particular significance. This could be a remnant of the moon's fiery birth, a slow cooling process that has left behind a unique internal thermal profile. Understanding this internal heat distribution is crucial for comprehending the moon's long-term geological evolution, its potential for future activity, and its place in the grander narrative of planetary formation. These seismic observations, while concrete, open up new avenues of inquiry. They compel us to look deeper, beyond the immediate data, to the fundamental forces that shaped this enigmatic body. And as we contemplate the moon's internal structure, we are led to consider the celestial ballet that surrounds it and the profound influence it has on our own world. But before we turn our gaze to the wider cosmos, we must acknowledge a different kind of celestial mystery, one that lies not in the shadows of unseen matter, but in the very fabric of reality itself. The universe operates by certain fundamental forces, and among the most profound is gravity. We see its effects everywhere, from the apple falling from a tree to the majestic dance of galaxies. Yet our understanding of gravity, particularly on the grandest cosmic scales, has led us to a profound realization. The universe is not behaving as we expect. The accelerating expansion of the universe, a discovery that shook the foundations of cosmology, points to a force that is actively pushing everything apart, a mysterious phenomenon that has been dubbed dark energy. This force is not like gravity. It does not pull things together. Instead, it seems to possess a repulsive property, a kind of anti-gravity that is counteracting the pull of matter and driving the universe to expand at an ever-increasing rate. The evidence for dark energy comes from multiple lines of observation. The most compelling comes from studies of distant supernovae, exploding stars that serve as cosmic lighthouses. By measuring the brightness and redshift of these supernovae, astronomers can determine their distance and how fast they are receding from us. These observations reveal a universe that is not only expanding, but is expanding at an accelerating pace. This is contrary to what gravity alone would predict. If gravity were the only dominant force on these scales, the expansion of the universe should be slowing down over time. As matter pulls itself together, the fact that it is speeding up implies the existence of an unseen energy that is imbuing space itself with a repulsive property. The exact nature of dark energy remains one of the most significant enigmas in modern physics. Several theoretical possibilities are being explored. One leading candidate is the cosmological constant, a concept first proposed by Albert Einstein. In this model, dark energy is an intrinsic property of empty space itself, a constant energy density that permeates the entire universe. As the universe expands, more space is created, and therefore more of this dark energy comes into existence, driving further expansion. Another possibility is that dark energy is not a constant, but a dynamic field, something that changes over time and space. This hypothetical field, often referred to as quintessence, would have properties that are still largely unknown. Its behavior could be far more complex than the simple cosmological constant, potentially leading to different predictions about the future evolution of the universe. The implications of dark energy are staggering. If it is indeed a constant property of space, then as the universe continues to expand. Galaxies will eventually recede from each other at such speeds that they will become invisible, lost beyond the observable horizon. This big chill or heat death scenario paints a picture of a lonely, increasingly empty cosmos. If dark energy is dynamic, the future could be even more dramatic, perhaps even leading to a big rip, where the repulsive force becomes so strong that it tears apart galaxies, stars, planets, and even atoms themselves. The quest to understand dark energy is at the forefront of cosmological research. Scientists are designing increasingly sophisticated experiments to probe its nature, seeking to refine measurements of the universe's expansion history and map its large-scale structure with unprecedented precision. The subtle influences of dark energy are etched into the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang, and they are imprinted on the distribution of galaxies throughout the universe. The existence of dark energy alongside dark matter means that the familiar matter and energy that make up our stars, planets, and ourselves constitute only a tiny fraction, less than 5% of the total energy density of the universe. The vast majority, over 95%, is composed of these unseen, enigmatic components. This realization is both humbling and exhilarating, a testament to how much we still have to learn about the true nature of reality. And as we contemplate these vast, invisible forces shaping the cosmos, we are drawn back to our own terrestrial origins, to the very building blocks of life and the planet that sustains us. The story of Earth, after all, is also a story of chemistry, of how elements combine and react under immense pressures and temperatures, giving rise to everything we know and everything we are. It is a tale that begins not with the grand cosmic forces, but with the fundamental building blocks of matter. The very existence of life on Earth, as we understand it, hinges on the unique and often surprising ways in which the elements interact. We stand on a planet forged from stardust, a celestial crucible where matter was molded into the complex structures that would eventually give rise to consciousness. But the story of Earth's chemistry is not a simple one of inert elements combining. It is a narrative of profound transformations, of elements that behave in ways that seem almost intentional, guiding the formation of intricate molecules and the very processes of life. Consider the astonishing abundance of carbon. This element, with its remarkable ability to form long chains and complex rings, is the backbone of organic chemistry. It is capable of bonding with itself and with a variety of other elements, creating the diverse array of molecules that make up living organisms, from the simplest amino acids to the most complex DNA. Without carbon's unique valency and its propensity for forming stable covalent bonds, life, as we know, it would simply be impossible. But carbon's story is intertwined with others. Oxygen, highly reactive and essential for respiration, plays a crucial role in shaping Earth's atmosphere and lithosphere. Nitrogen, abundant in the atmosphere, is a key component of proteins and nucleic acids. Phosphorus, a vital element for energy transfer within cells, is found in ATP, the molecular currency of life. And then there are the trace elements: iron, copper, zinc, often present in minute quantities, yet indispensable for enzymatic functions and cellular processes. The presence and relative abundance of these elements on Earth are not accidental. They are, in part, a consequence of stellar nucleosynthesis, the cosmic forge, where elements heavier than hydrogen and helium are created within stars. Supernova explosions, the dramatic deaths of massive stars, scatter these newly formed elements across the cosmos, seeding the next generation of stars and planetary systems. Our own solar system, including Earth, is built from the remnants of countless ancient stars. Furthermore, the early Earth itself was a highly dynamic environment, a planet undergoing intense geological processes. Volcanic activity released gases from the planet's interior, shaping the primordial atmosphere, the formation of oceans. Through processes we are still unraveling, dissolved minerals, and created the aqueous environment where early chemical reactions could take place. This interplay between geological forces and chemical reactivity set the stage for the emergence of life. The very laws of chemistry, the predictable rules governing how atoms interact, seem to have conspired to create the conditions necessary for life. It is as if the universe, through its fundamental constants and the properties of matter, has a subtle inclination towards complexity and organization. But looking at these fundamental building blocks and their interactions, we are inevitably drawn to consider what happens when these chemical processes are subjected to extreme conditions, when the very elements are forced to behave in ways that defy our everyday experience. This leads us to the edge of matter itself, to the subatomic realm, where the rules change and the unseen forces truly govern. The realm of the subatomic is a landscape of profound strangeness, a place where our everyday intuitions about matter and energy break down. It is here, at the level of protons, neutrons, and electrons, and the even more fundamental particles that compose them, that the universe reveals its most puzzling secrets. Our understanding of the cosmos, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, is built upon the principles of quantum mechanics and particle physics, a framework that, while incredibly successful, often defies common sense. At the heart of every atom lies the nucleus, a dense core composed of protons and neutrons. Protons, carrying a positive electrical charge, are held together by the strong nuclear force, an incredibly powerful attraction that overcomes the electromagnetic repulsion between between the positively charged protons. Neutrons, electrically neutral, act as a sort of glue, helping to stabilize the nucleus. The number of protons in an atom defines its element, its identity. Orbiting this nucleus are electrons, tiny particles carrying a negative charge. They do not orbit in neat, predictable paths like planets around a star. Instead, their locations are described by probability distributions, called orbitals, regions of space where an electron is likely to be found. This probabilistic nature is a hallmark of quantum mechanics, where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until they are observed or measured. Beyond these familiar components, the subatomic world is populated by a bewildering array of other particles, many of which are fleeting and exist only under extreme conditions. Quarks, for instance, are fundamental constituents of protons and neutrons, bound together by the strong force mediated by particles called gluons. Then there are leptons, like electrons and neutrinos, which do not participate in the strong nuclear force. The forces that govern these interactions are themselves mediated by specific force-carrying particles. The electromagnetic force, responsible for light and chemical bonding, is carried by photons. The weak nuclear force, involved in certain types of radioactive decay, is mediated by W and Z bosons, and the gravitational force, though still not fully integrated into the quantum framework, is theorized to be carried by gravitons. One of the most profound implications of quantum mechanics is the concept of quantum entanglement, where two or more particles become linked in such a way that they share the same fate, regardless of the distance separating them. Measuring the state of one entangled particle instantaneously influences the state of the other, a phenomenon that Albert Einstein famously described as spooky action at a distance. The study of particle physics is an ongoing quest, pushing the boundaries of our knowledge with instruments like the Large Hadron Collider, where particles are accelerated to near light speeds and collided to recreate the conditions of the early universe. These experiments aim to uncover new particles, understand the fundamental forces in greater detail, and probe the very nature of reality. But this exploration into the subatomic realm, while illuminating, also reveals a universe that is far more subtle and interconnected than we ever imagined, hinting at deeper symmetries and forces that are still beyond our grasp. And it is this interconnectedness, this pervasive influence of fundamental forces and particles, that leads us to consider the fundamental nature of our reality itself, and the possibility that the universe we perceive is merely a single thread in a much grander tapestry. As we delve into the nature of reality, we must confront the possibility of realms beyond our direct perception, universes that may exist alongside our own, whispering secrets that challenge our very understanding of existence. The quest to understand the fundamental nature of reality has led us to the precipice of astounding possibilities, concepts that stretch the human imagination to its limits. Among the most fascinating of these is the idea of multiverses, a theoretical framework suggesting that our universe might not be the only one. Instead, there could be an infinite or vast number of other universes, each with its own set of physical laws, constants, and even dimensions. This concept arises from several avenues of scientific inquiry. One prominent idea comes from cosmic inflation, a theory that describes an extremely rapid expansion of the universe in the fractions of a second after the Big Bang. If inflation is eternal, meaning it never stops everywhere, then different regions of space-time could have inflated at different rates, creating separate bubble universes that are causally disconnected from our own. Each bubble might have cooled differently, leading to different physical properties. Another source of multiverse speculation stems from quantum mechanics itself. The many worlds interpretation, for example, suggests that every time a quantum measurement is made, the universe splits into multiple branches, with each branch representing a different possible outcome of that measurement. In this view, all possible realities are constantly being realized in parallel universes. String theory, a candidate for a unified theory of everything, also hints at the possibility of multiple universes. This theory posits that fundamental particles are not point-like, but rather tiny, vibrating strings. The different ways these strings can vibrate determine the properties of the particles and the forces they interact with. String theory suggests a vast landscape of possible vacuum states, each corresponding to a different set of physical laws, potentially giving rise to countless universes. The implications of a multiverse are profound. If our universe is just one among many, then the fine-tuning of our universe's constants, those specific values that seem perfectly balanced to allow for life, might not be so miraculous after all. In a vast ensemble of universes, it would be statistically probable, perhaps even inevitable, that at least one universe would possess the right conditions for life to emerge. We would simply find ourselves in the one that supports our existence. However, the concept of multiverses presents a significant challenge for empirical verification. By their very nature, these other universes are often considered to be causally disconnected from our own, making direct observation or experimentation incredibly difficult, if not impossible. This has led some to question whether the multiverse is truly a scientific hypothesis or a philosophical extrapolation. Despite these challenges, the notion of parallel realities continues to captivate scientists and philosophers alike. It forces us to reconsider our place in the cosmos, to question the uniqueness of our existence, and to contemplate the ultimate nature of reality. As we ponder these vast, unseen realms, we are reminded that our journey of discovery is far from over, and that the universe, or perhaps the multiverse, holds secrets that are still waiting to be unveiled. And as we stand on the threshold of these grand cosmic revelations, we are led to consider the very foundation of our understanding, the way we perceive and interpret the universe, and the limits of our own perception, our perception of reality, the way we experience and interpret the world around us is a complex interplay of sensory input, cognitive processing, and ingrained biases. We build our understanding of the universe through our senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, taste. But these senses are limited and can often mislead. The universe, when viewed through the lens of modern science, is a far stranger place than our everyday experiences might suggest. Consider the vastness of space and time. Our human lifespan is a mere blink of an eye in the grand sweep of cosmic history. The distances involved in astronomy are so immense that they defy our intuitive grasp. Similarly, the scales of quantum mechanics, the infinitesimally small world of subatomic particles, operate under rules that are antithesis to our macroscopic experience. We struggle to visualize probabilities, superposition, and entanglement, concepts that are nonetheless fundamental to the universe's workings. Our brains are wired to perceive patterns, to find order in chaos, and to seek causal relationships. This evolutionary advantage, while crucial for survival on Earth, can sometimes lead us astray when confronting phenomena that do not fit neatly into established frameworks. We tend to anthropomorphize, to project human-like qualities onto natural processes, and to seek simple explanations for complex events. The history of science is replete with examples of how our perceptions and models of reality have evolved. For centuries, the Earth was believed to be the center of the universe, a geocentric model that aligned with our immediate sensory experience. It was only through rigorous observation, mathematical reasoning, and a willingness to challenge deeply held beliefs that we transitioned to a heliocentric view. Similarly, Newtonian mechanics provided a remarkably accurate description of the macroscopic world, but it was eventually supplanted by the more nuanced and comprehensive theories of relativity and quantum mechanics that better describe extreme conditions. The very instruments we use to probe the universe, from telescopes to particle accelerators, extend our senses, allowing us to perceive phenomena far beyond our natural capabilities. Yet, even these tools are subject to interpretation, and the data they provide must be analyzed and understood within the context of our evolving scientific theories. The intellectual journey of understanding the universe is not just about accumulating facts. It is about refining our capacity to perceive, to question, and to embrace the unknown. It requires a willingness to confront paradoxes, to accept that our intuition may not always align with objective reality and to remain open to new paradigms as we continue to explore the cosmos, from the enigmatic nature of dark matter and dark energy to the theoretical landscapes of multiverses. We are constantly pushing the boundaries of our understanding. Each revelation, no matter how strange, adds another piece to the ever-expanding puzzle of existence. And this ongoing process of discovery, of confronting the unknown and refining our perception, is perhaps the most profound aspect of our journey through the universe. And as we stand on the precipice of what we can comprehend, it is worth remembering that the universe often reveals its deepest secrets, not through grand pronouncements, but through the subtle, persistent rhythms of its fundamental forces, rhythms that echo through time and space, shaping everything we see and everything we are. The very fabric of reality, it seems, is woven not from solid certainty, but from a delicate dance of energy and matter, a dance that began at the dawn of creation and continues to unfold in ways we are only just beginning to perceive. The universe, in its infinite expanse and profound complexity, is a testament to the power of fundamental forces. Gravity, the invisible architect of cosmic structures, shapes galaxies and orchestrates the orbits of planets. But it is the electromagnetic force, the force of light and electricity, that underpins the very chemistry of life, binding atoms together to form molecules and enabling the transmission of energy. And then there are the nuclear forces, the strong and weak forces that govern the hearts of atoms, powering stars and driving radioactive decay. These forces are not merely abstract concepts. They are the agents of change, the sculptors of existence. They dictate how matter behaves, how energy flows, and how the universe evolves. From the formation of the first stars to the intricate workings of a single cell, these fundamental interactions are at play, shaping every aspect of reality. However, our understanding of these forces is not complete. There remain deep mysteries, particularly in the realm of quantum gravity, where the principles of quantum mechanics and general relativity are theories of the very small and the very large, respectively, do not yet seamlessly integrate. Bridging this gap is one of the greatest challenges in modern physics, and its resolution may unlock new insights into the universe's earliest moments and its ultimate fate. The subtle interplay of these forces, their relative strengths and ranges, has led to the emergence of structure and complexity within the universe. Without the precise balance of these fundamental interactions, the universe would be a vastly different, perhaps even lifeless, place. The very constants of nature, those numerical values that define the strength of these forces, seem exquisitely tuned to allow for the existence of stars, planets, and ultimately ourselves. This apparent fine-tuning has led some to ponder whether there is a deeper, underlying principle governing these forces, a grand unified theory that would explain their origin and their specific values. The pursuit of such a theory is a driving force behind much of theoretical physics, a quest to unveil the ultimate code of the cosmos. And as we contemplate these fundamental interactions, we are drawn back to the very beginning of it all, to the moment when the universe burst into existence, a singularity of unimaginable density and energy. The events of that primordial instant, the genesis of space and time and matter, are still shrouded in mystery, but they hold the key to understanding the true nature of the forces that continue to shape our reality. The echoes of that initial expansion, the faint whispers of creation, continue to resonate, urging us to look deeper, to question further, and to never cease in our quest for comprehension. The journey through the cosmos is an ongoing revelation, a continuous unfolding of secrets held within the very fabric of existence. We stand on the precipice of a profound silence, a quiet that stretches across the unfathomable canvas of the cosmos. The universe, as we understand it, is teeming with the raw materials for life. Billions upon billions of stars, each a distant sun, are orbited by countless worlds, many of which likely possess the crucial ingredients for biology as we know it. Considering this sheer immensity, this cosmic abundance, the question hangs heavy in the void. If life is so probable, if civilizations should be arising across the galaxies, then where is everyone? This unnerving stillness, this absence of any detectable signal or evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence, is the heart of the Fermi paradox. It's a paradox that probes the very foundations of our place in the universe, suggesting that our existence might be far stranger, far more solitary than our optimistic calculations might lead us to believe. The sheer statistical likelihood of life arising elsewhere begs an answer to this cosmic riddle, a puzzle that continues to elude our most determined inquiries. Our telescopes have revealed a staggering panorama of stars, each a potential hearth for life. The Milky Way galaxy alone contains hundreds of billions of stars, and there are trillions of galaxies in the observable universe. If even a tiny fraction of these stars host planets, and if a fraction of those planets are within the habitable zones of their stars, the numbers become astronomical. We're talking about billions, perhaps trillions, of worlds where liquid water could exist, where the building blocks of life could assemble. Some of these worlds might have had billions of years to evolve, to develop complex organisms, and perhaps even to forge intelligent civilizations. It's this sheer scale, this overwhelming probability, that makes the silence so deafening. Every new exoplanet discovery, every hint of water on a distant moon, only amplifies the profound mystery of our apparent isolation. It suggests that if we are alone, then something profoundly unlikely has occurred. This overwhelming statistical probability clashes directly with the stark reality of our observations. we scan the skies for radio signals, for laser pulses, for any sign of deliberate communication from another civilization, and we find only the quiet hum of cosmic background radiation. This absence of evidence, when evidence seems so likely, forces us to confront uncomfortable possibilities. Perhaps there's a great filter, a colossal hurdle that life must overcome to reach any level of advanced interstellar capability. This filter could lie in our past, a stage we've already passed, making us exceptionally rare. Or more chillingly, it could lie in our future, a challenge so insurmountable that most civilizations perish before they can ever announce their presence to the galaxy. The implications of a future filter are profound, suggesting that our own continued existence might be a precarious balance. Then there is the rare Earth hypothesis, a perspective that suggests the specific conditions that allowed complex life to flourish on Earth are, in fact, extraordinarily rare. It's not just about having liquid water or being in a habitable zone. It's about a complex interplay of factors: a stable star, a large moon to stabilize our axial tilt, plate tectonics to regulate our climate and recycle nutrients, a strong magnetic field to shield us from solar radiation, the precise chemical composition of our atmosphere, and our fortunate position within a relatively safe region of the galaxy, far from supernovae and black holes. If even one or two of these critical elements are absent, or if they don't align in the right way for billions of years, complex life might not arise or might be perpetually fragile. Alternatively, perhaps advanced civilizations exist, but they are either deliberately silent or simply beyond our current capacity to detect. They might have evolved past the need for radio communication, employing technologies we can't even imagine. Consider the theoretical concept of Dyson spheres, massive artificial structures built around stars to capture their energy. Such constructs would be unmistakable if we could see them. Yet, we observe no such megastructures. Perhaps these civilizations have learned to become invisible, to retreat into virtual realities, or to communicate through means as alien to us as a whisper is to a supernova. The possibility that they are hiding, or that we are simply not looking in the right way, adds another layer of intrigue to the silence, pushing us to consider the limits of our own perception and technological reach. To truly understand why this silence may hold, we must explore the potential fates of civilizations as they navigate the vastness of cosmic time. The silence is a profound enigma, and to understand its potential implications, we must now turn our attention to the future of civilizations and their potential cosmic journeys. What happens to life once it has taken root and reached a certain level of advancement? Does it inevitably face a precipice, a challenge that determines its ultimate destiny? To grapple with this, we must consider the ultimate fate of technological societies. and the potential obstacles they might encounter in their quest for longevity and expansion. We perceive the universe through the light it casts. For millennia, we have charted the stars, mapped the galaxies, and felt the pulse of cosmic expansion. Yet, even as our instruments grow more sensitive and our understanding deepens, the cosmos reveals phenomena that defy simple explanation. We've long observed that our own Milky Way galaxy, and indeed our local group of galaxies, are not moving randomly through space. Instead, there is a collective drift, a subtle but persistent velocity pushing us and our neighbors towards a particular region of the sky. It's as if an unseen hand is gently guiding us, a gravitational tide pulling at the very fabric of space-time. This observed cosmic motion anomaly suggests a concentration of mass far greater than what we can directly see, a cosmic anchor exerting its influence from across unimaginable distances. This inexplicable pull hints at a hidden architecture, a grand design that dictates the ballet of galaxies. To pinpoint the source of this pull, astronomers have meticulously tracked these galactic movements across billions of light years. The evidence points towards a region that lies in shadow, a cosmic blind spot. This area is known as the zone of avoidance. It is a swath of the sky obscured by the Milky Way's own dusty disk and gas clouds. These interstellar veils are so dense that they block the faint light from galaxies lying beyond them, rendering that part of the universe largely invisible to our telescopes. It's like trying to see a distant city through a thick fog, or a swarm of gnats in front of a streetlight. This obscuration makes it incredibly difficult to study the structure and composition of the universe in that particular direction, leaving a profound mystery at the heart of our cosmic neighborhood. Within this veiled region, an immense gravitational force is at play. Scientists have theorized that what we perceive as the great attractor is not a single object, but a colossal supercluster of galaxies, a knot in the cosmic web containing hundreds of thousands of galaxies, each with billions of stars. The sheer scale of this structure is difficult to comprehend, its mass likely equivalent to quadrillions of suns. This concentration of matter is so significant that it warps the space-time around it, creating a gravitational potential well that draws in everything around it, including our own Milky Way. It is a silent titan, a cosmic leviathan, whose presence is only revealed by the silent obedience of the galaxies around it. The existence of the great attractor forces us to reconsider our place in the universe and the grand narrative of cosmic evolution. It reveals that the universe is not uniformly distributed, but possesses a complex, clumpy structure on the largest scales. This anomaly challenges our cosmological models, prompting us to refine our understanding of how matter coalesces and how gravity shapes the universe's destiny. It suggests that our galaxy is not on an independent trajectory, but is part of a larger, intricate dance orchestrated by forces we are only beginning to comprehend. Understanding the great attractor is crucial to understanding the ultimate fate of our universe and the subtle, unseen forces that govern its grand design. And to truly grasp the subtle ways these cosmic structures shape our reality, we must now delve deeper into the echoes of our own planet's early history, into the very foundations of life itself. The story of our cosmos is not merely a chronicle of the past. It is also a prophecy, whispered in the language of stars and written in the slow, inevitable march of time. We have peered into the abyss of deep time, traced the slow dance of continents, and witnessed the birth and death of species. Now we must turn our gaze forward, towards the twilight of our own world, for even the most ancient and vibrant of planets is subject to the grand, unfurling narrative of cosmic change. The first act in this unfolding drama is written by the star at our system's heart, the Sun. It is a celestial engine burning hydrogen into helium, and this steady process, so vital to life, is not eternal. Over billions of years, the Sun's core will gradually exhaust its primary fuel. As this happens, the Sun will begin to swell. Its outer layers will expand dramatically, and its temperature will drop, turning it into a red giant. Imagine a star the size of a small planet becoming as large as the orbit of Earth. This transformation will not be gentle. The Sun's luminosity, the light and heat it pours into space, will increase significantly. Long before it physically engulfs our planet, Earth will be transformed. The oceans, the very cradle of life, will begin to boil away, their waters rising into the atmosphere, then escaping into the vacuum of space. The atmosphere itself will thicken, then thin, stripped away by the Sun's intensifying radiation. Consider the delicate balance that allows life to exist here. A narrow band of temperatures, liquid water, a protective atmosphere. These are not permanent fixtures. They are fleeting conditions, gifts of a younger, more stable sun. As the Sun evolves, this precious equilibrium will shatter. The very conditions that allowed complex life to emerge will become a distant memory. The habitability of Earth is a temporary state, a moment in cosmic history. The increase in solar luminosity is a slow burn, a gradual march towards an inhospitable future. Even if Earth escapes the direct embrace of the red giant sun, the planet will become a scorched, barren rock, its surface baked and lifeless. The rich tapestry of ecosystems, the accumulated diversity of millions of years, will vanish. The oceans will be the first to go. Picture them, vast expanses of blue shimmering under a younger sun. Now imagine them darkening, steaming, their surfaces rippling with a final, desperate evaporation. The water molecules, light enough to escape the sun's gravity, will drift away, seeding the void. The atmosphere itself, a protective blanket, will be a casualty, thinned and shredded by the solar onslaught. What remains will be a planet stripped bare. Geological processes will continue. The slow grinding of tectonic plates, the volcanic whispers from the deep, but the vibrant chemistry of life, the intricate dance of organic molecules will be extinguished. The face of Earth will be unrecognizable, a testament to a time when a gentle star nurtured a living world. And what then, when the sun has shed its outer layers, becoming a white dwarf, a faint ember in the darkness? What will be the final chapter for Earth? It might be consumed, a swallowed morsel in the sun's dying throes, or if it narrowly escapes, it could be flung outwards, an orphaned planet, adrift in the cold, silent expanse between stars, a rogue world, carrying only the faintest geological echoes of a vibrant past. To understand these ultimate cosmic fates, we must begin to trace the subtle gravitational whispers that guide the galaxies themselves, for these are the forces that shape worlds and the very fabric of existence. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.